Hey guys, welcome back. The Trail, Waukesha, Wisconsin, Week 2. Matthew Pahl on trial for the murder of his long-time girlfriend Stephanie Pavlons. Stephanie went missing. One morning, they took a ride to Quick Trip and then went to the orthopedics because he was going to get some therapy. Yeah, wrong therapy. Should have had therapy on his head. Then she disappeared.
If you could come up to the witness stand to my right, please. And you can step up and then raise your right hand to be sworn.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, please be seated. Could you tell us your name, please?
Yes, my name is Dr. Stacy, Stacey, Hail, Hail, like a hailstorm.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Valdez or Mr. Valdez. Okay, go ahead.
Dr. Hill, you currently employed?
Yes.
And where do you work?
I am an associate professor at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center located in Dallas, Texas, and I staff the emergency department at Parkland Hospital, which is also located in Dallas. It's also where JFK was taken when he was shot, and the single busiest emergency department in the United States.
And at the hospital, what capacity do you work?
Can you repeat that?
At the hospital, what do you do?
I am an emergency physician, and I'm also a medical toxicologist.
I'm showing you what's marked as defense exhibit number 441, and just for the witness. Is that on your screen, Doctor?
That is my CV.
And a CV is what?
A curriculum vitae, kind of like a resume, but more in the academic setting.
I'm going to scroll through it just to double check. And did you draft this purposely for this trial, or is it your CV?
Yes.
It appears to be 33 pages long.
Yes.
Does the CV discuss your qualifications?
Yes.
Does it discuss your background?
Yes.
Judge, you move exhibit number 41 and have it published to the jury.
Any objection?
No, sir.
All right, it's admitted and you may publish it.
And just for the record, it's exhibit number 441. Let me go through the CV with you, just and the jury. Now, page 1 of exhibit number 441 lists your education.
Yes.
Could you briefly describe your education to the jury?
Well, I received a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And that was followed by obtaining my medical doctor degree at the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, Georgia. And then I returned to Dallas, Texas, where I did my internship and residency at UT Southwestern, and that was at Parkland Hospital. And my residency was in emergency medicine. And then I did a 2-year fellowship in medical toxicology, and that was also through Parkland Hospital and the North Texas Poison Center, which is located at Parkland Hospital.
So you indicated that you're a professor, true?
Hospital.
So you indicated that you're a professor, true?
I'm an associate professor in the Department of Emergency Medicine at UT Southwestern.
And you also work with the Poison Center?
Yes.
Now, page 1 also lists your professional work experience, true?
Yes.
Could you briefly discuss that with the jury?
Well, I've been whether a clinical professor all the way up to an associate professor at UT Southwestern since I finished my medical toxicology fellowship or actually my emergency medicine residency. And in the medical toxicology fellowship, you also continue working in the emergency department. So that's been since 2002.
Page 1 also discusses your professional certifications, true?
Yes.
And what are they?
I am board certified by the American Board of Emergency Medicine, and I'm also board certified. It's actually a sub-board of emergency medicine called medical toxicology.
And are you still board certified today in both of those?
I continue to be board certified in both specialties.
Now, page 2 of your CV lists your licenses,
Yes.
and what are they?
I hold a medical license in the state of Texas since 2001, a Texas Controlled Substance Registration since 2001, a DEA registration that's to prescribe substances since 2001, and I am from Texas, so I have a concealed handgun license.
Page 2 also lists your honors and awards,
Yes.
and could you briefly outline those to the jury?
Well, the most recent and pertinent awards that I have received, first, fellowship status by the American College of Medical Toxicology, and that is a distinction within medical toxicology when you've practiced for a number of years in that field. And then I received an award by the Organized Crime and Drug Enforcement Task Force. It was a national award, and that's associated with the Department of Justice, and it was for specifically assisting federal agents and federal prosecutors in combating the threat of fentanyl in communities in the Pacific region of the United States.
Now, page 3 through 22 discusses cases that you've worked on or testified to as a medical expert witness, true?
Yes, and this is not my most up-to-date CV because I'm constantly adding to it, but for the most part, yes.
And could you go through some of those cases that you've listed for the jury?
Yes, I have testified in civil matters, basically on both sides, plaintiff and defense. And then I have also testified in criminal matters. The vast majority of cases that I have been asked to work on are at the federal level, largely pertaining to federal drug crime, and for many, many years, the opioid epidemic, and then followed by the fentanyl crisis. But I have also testified at the state level approximately 9 times for the prosecution, and this would be my 3rd time for the defense in a state criminal matter.
So you've testified in a criminal matter at the federal level?
Yes.
And how many times have you testified at the federal level?
Approximately 50 or 60 times for the prosecution.
Have you ever testified for the defense at the federal level?
Not in a criminal matter.
Have any of these cases that you've testified to involved homicides?
Can you repeat that?
Have any of these cases involved homicides?
Yes.
Percentage-wise, how many of the cases that you've testified to involve homicides?
They're a smaller fraction compared to overall federal drug crime, but all of them essentially focus on a cause of death testimony.
When was the last case that you testified to as to the cause of death?
Let's see. That would have been in August in Nebraska for a federal drug crime case.
Were any of these cases that you testified to involved controlled substances and homicide?
Yes.
Approximately how many of those have been controlled substance and homicides?
Most of them. At the federal level, with federal drug crime, we are talking about violations of the Controlled Substances Act, and there is a law called the Len Bias Law. Len Bias was a University of Maryland basketball player who got drafted by the Boston Celtics, and the night that he got drafted, he did cocaine in his dorm and developed intractable seizures and had a cardiac arrest and died. So his mom lobbied Congress for stiffer penalties for drug dealers who distribute a controlled substance that leads to death or serious bodily injury. And then another version of the Controlled Substances Act is specifically geared towards bad doctors and the ones that run pill mills. In other words, they are prescribing many controlled substances outside the realm of professional practice and without a legitimate purpose. And so my testimony at this federal level is either regarding death or serious bodily injury as it pertains to a drug dealer, but also when there are deaths in a physician's practice pertaining to a controlled substance.
Have you ever testified in any cases involving intentional homicide?
Involving what?
Intentional homicide.
Yes.
How many? And can you describe those?
I have testified in a case here in Wisconsin, in Kenosha, and that was for the defense, and that was pertaining to an ethylene glycol poisoning case. I have been involved in grand jury testimony in Las Vegas pertaining to another ethylene glycol case, but that was obviously for the prosecution since that was grand jury testimony. I was involved in grand jury testimony in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where a husband killed her wife, or a wife killed her husband with Benadryl and then took him out on Lake Coeur d'Alene and pushed him off the boat. I have had a case of homicide, albeit at the federal level for some reason, that involved the death of a little girl who was kidnapped from a birthday party and was drugged with methamphetamine and other prescription or non-prescription medications and murdered and dumped at a dump. And I testified also at the federal level, even though it was a homicide, about a case in Texas where a nurse stole a drug called etomidate from the hospital.
Judge, I mean, you're gonna have to spell that for the court reporter.
Etomidate is etomidate. This is a drug that we use to give patients before we intubate them or sometimes before procedures. And in this particular case, the individual injected his friend with etomidate to render him unconscious and then shot him in the head and stole some money from him. I think that's the ones on the top of my head right now.
You ever testify in a case involving an accidental homicide? Accidental homicide, any cases?
Well, I don't know what you mean exactly by accidental homicide.
Yeah, accidental death.
There are certainly accidental overdoses, which are many of the drug dealer cases and doctor-related cases that I've seen where not that it's necessarily an intentional or suicidal overdose of a medication, but someone that has a repeated super therapeutic ingestion, meaning you keep taking more and more than you should. And of course, most people that are shooting up heroin or fentanyl don't mean to kill themselves.
Are there any kind of homicide cases that you've testified to that I failed to ask you about?
Not that I can think of on the top of my mind right now.
And when you've testified in these cases, were you testifying as a medical toxicologist expert or a medical emergency?
Well, you can't differentiate the two. As an emergency physician, my expertise is in managing all comers to the emergency department. So whether it's trauma, whether it's a heart attack, whether it's a stroke, whether it's an overdose, whether it's a psychiatric problem, so anything that presents to the emergency department, and that is part of my expertise, is being able to not just have tunnel vision, but as a medical toxicologist, as a sub-board of emergency medicine, most people find that confusing, but a medical toxicologist's expertise is in the management and treatment, diagnosis of poisoned patients. And most of the time, those are emergencies. So an overdose, a snake bite, a chemical exposure. And of course, there's things like asbestos exposure and cancer from factories that you work at that is more long-term, and that falls more into occupational toxicology. So my role as a cause of death expert when I am asked to review cases is not just wearing the tunnel vision of a medical toxicologist, but to look at the case as a whole, look for traumatic causes of death, look for natural causes of death, consider an arrhythmia, and look at the toxicology.
So have you ever, in these cases, do you render an opinion as to the cause of death?
Yes.
In what percentage of these cases do you render an opinion as to the cause of death?
Well, with regard to federal cases, there is a standard that I have to meet, which is the but-for cause of death. So typically, medical examiners will render a cause of death, which is, in terms of toxicology cases, they will list all of the substances that are found post-mortem. And it's not very common to find just one substance post-mortem. So therefore, they need, in order to render a but-for cause of death opinion, meaning but for this particular substance, this person would not have died, you need to have a medical toxicologist review that toxicology testing in the context of the totality of the evidence. And about 50% of the time, when the federal government asks me to review a federal level death case, I cannot meet that but-for standard because there may be some fact or some hole in the investigation that renders it not possible to render a but-for cause of death opinion.
Have you reviewed, you testified for the federal level and state level for the prosecution, true?
Yes.
Have you reviewed other cases for the prosecution that it wasn't necessary for you to testify, but you reviewed the case anyways?
I've reviewed hundreds and hundreds of cases where I will write a report and the defendant may plead guilty or the case resolves in some way such that I don't ever have to go to court and testify.
Judge, if I haven't done so, let's keep page on your CV. I'm scrolling through all the cases that you testified, true?
Yes. Or I should say all of these cases are cases where I have rendered a report and been designated as an expert witness. If I actually testified, that is listed on the CV under that case.
Page 22 of your CV lists your research experience, true?
Yes.
And could you briefly outline that to the jury?
When I was in high school, I was a science nerd and I entered the science fair every year. I was working with Dr. Pahl in Milledgeville, Georgia, and I was doing cancer research with him and entered my research every year to the science fair. In my senior year, I won the state of Georgia science fair and got to go to the international science fair. And then this other research includes some of my undergraduate chemistry research that was at SMU.
Same page, your CV discusses your presentations.
Yes.
Could you discuss those with the jury?
Yes. And again, my most recent presentation, which was not on this CV that I gave you, was for the high intensity drug trafficking authority association. I can't think of what the last letter is, and that's involving fentanyl. I speak at my kids' high school festival every year, and then our senator from the state of Texas introduced a bill called the Fight Illicit Pill Presses Act, and I was asked to come present about those findings. And then I have helped to train DEA agents, FBI agents. I've gone to Quantico to teach, and basically teaching them about opioids and other controlled substances.
It appears that most of your presentations have been with law enforcement.
Yes, kind of a parallel universe to my my cases that involve opioids and fentanyl or other controlled substances for the federal government. A lot of cases involve sudden death in custody cases, and these are different kinds of drugs that cause this. These would be things more along the lines of cocaine or methamphetamine or PCP, some of these drugs that cause people to be very agitated, and they will end up dying in police custody. And so I often teach our law enforcement with regard to how to manage these types of very complicated cases, because they, of course, become very high-profile cases in the media.
I think page 29 discusses your publications.
Yes.
You published?
Yes.
Could you outline what you published to the jury?
Some of my publications have involved these death in custody cases and hyperactive delirium or severe agitation. This was part of the American College of Emergency Physicians task force. Again, these kinds of cases are very challenging, and so we're always looking for better ways to restrain patients that are in police custody that are very agitated. The National Association of Medical Examiners position paper was medical examiners and us, the medical toxicologists, that got together to discuss best practices for rendering cause of death opinions in the setting of opioid toxicity, and the other things are not necessarily relevant.
Your CV also discusses your media appearances. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Could you briefly discuss that with the jury?
Well, I end up doing a number of media-related appearances, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, just because sometimes cases end up in the media and are high profile, and also because a lot of poisoning murder cases are of public interest. So I have been on Dateline NBC. I have been on Snapped, which is a crime show where women snap and attempt murder or commit murder. Not that I was the one that snapped. And Vengeance Killer Coworkers, as well as Court TV and other news broadcasts, kind of warning the public about different new street drugs to keep in mind or watch out for. Of course, for a number of years, the concern was that there were counterfeit pills that contained fentanyl, and so, of course, warning the public.
You, again, testified that you have rendered an opinion in a court of law as to cause of death, true?
True.
Have your opinion under both hats or just one hat?
Say that again?
Under both hats? I mean, you're an expert medical toxicologist, and you're an expert medical in medicine, true?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the form of the question and the labeling of expert.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Well, you've testified as an emergency medicine doctor, true?
Yes.
Have your opinions always been accepted in a court of law?
Yes.
As a result of your medical qualifications, do you use those at Parkland Medical?
Yes.
And describe it. Typically, what do you do at Parkland Medical?
Well, it depends on the day. If I am working in the emergency department, I would be working as an attending physician, and I may either see patients on my own, or I will supervise residents and interns and students that are rotating in the emergency department. When I am on call as a medical toxicologist, the way it works is the first Thursday through the first Monday every other month. I'm on call 24/7 for that period of time, and that involves teaching at the Poison Center academic rounds, because we have a number of different kinds of physicians that rotate to learn medical toxicology, and that is a more academic endeavor. And then covering any poisoned patient that presents to Parkland, our children's hospital, or our UT Southwestern Hospital. And then oftentimes we cover phone calls from all over North Texas for healthcare providers that are asking for assistance with management of a poisoned patient. I think a lot of people understand that you can call the Poison Center if your child gets into something under the sink, and it's very common for parents to call. But probably what a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of physicians will also call the Poison Center for guidance on managing poisoned patients at their particular healthcare setting. And since we can't obviously be everywhere at one time, those types of phone calls are managed by phone.
So you have doctors calling you too for poison questions?
Yes.
And parents?
Parents.
Law enforcement?
I have heard that law enforcement might call from time to time for identification of a pill that has a label, the pharmacy label on it. That isn't needed as much anymore because you could probably look it up on the internet now, but before the internet, that was kind of a use that law enforcement might have at the Poison Center.
Again, how long you been working at Parkland?
I started my residency in 1999.
And strictly in the emergency room area?
From 99 to 2002 was in the emergency department as a resident. From 2002 to 2004, I was serving as faculty in emergency medicine, but I was doing a fellowship in medical toxicology, and that was through the North Texas Poison Center and covering Parkland Children's and UT Southwestern Hospital.
Now, when you worked in the emergency room, I take it you saw all kind of patients.
All kinds of patients.
And you indicated that's the most busiest emergency facility in the whole country.
It has held that distinction in U.S. News and World Report for a number of years.
And you've treated, take it, people who have suffered gunshot wounds?
Yes.
And approximately how many have you treated for gunshot wounds?
Objection to the relevance, Your Honor.
It's relevance.
Well, I guess we don't know how Ms. Pavlons lost her life, so there hasn't just covering gunshot homicides, her experience in dealing with them.
There isn't anything on this record that says she died by gun.
I'll take that as a fact then. So have you dealt?
So the objection is sustained. Next question.
No gunshot. Have you dealt with any patients who have been stabbed?
Yes.
Approximately how many?
Too numerous to count.
More than 1,000?
I would, probably not 1,000, but in the hundreds.
So have these patients who've been stabbed, have any of them passed?
Yes.
The number, any of them who have come in with stab wounds who, but for the grace of God, did not die?
Yes.
Were these patients like stabbed at one particular location on the body, or was it all over any particular body?
All over the place.
And what kind of with these patients that you saw that were stabbed, did majority of them, or if not, have clothing on?
Well, some might have clothing, some might not.
Were any of those patients that you saw have clothing on their upper body?
Yes.
I take it, exclude men and women?
Yes.
Approximately how many of those patients that were stabbed were females?
I couldn't say.
Is it safe to say that the females that you saw were clothed?
I can't think of anybody in particular right now. I'm just speaking in general.
As far as those that were clothed and only stabbed in the upper area of their body, what kind of injuries would you see, internal injuries?
Well, if somebody is stabbed in the upper part of their body, there's obviously very critical real estate, so to speak, the heart, the lungs, solid organs, and somebody that would die from a stab wound to the upper body would have a significant amount of blood loss if that was what they died from.
Would there be a lot of blood on their clothing?
Yes.
And that's only of those who were stabbed and passed?
Or stabbed and critically injured. The concern would be, I mean, you could stab somebody in the leg and hit a major artery and you would bleed to death and there would be blood all over the pants. Or you could stab somebody in the chest and just happen to miss anything important and they don't die and there's not significant blood loss.
Have you dealt there at the emergency room with patients who were brought in and had overdosed?
Oh, yes.
Approximately how many of those patients had overdosed that were brought into the emergency department while you were working?
It's been too numerous to count over 20 years.
And what was the typical drug or drugs that these patients overdosed on?
Well, it can be a number of things. I think the most common thing to overdose on would certainly be over-the-counter medications, things like Tylenol, which is very toxic to the liver. Aspirin is very toxic. People will overdose on their prescription psychiatric medications frequently. And then, of course, for a number of years, overdosing on prescription opioids or illicit substances is also a very large problem, which is why there's been the opioid epidemic.
Any of these patients that you treated, did any of them come in for seizures?
Yes, I would say I see a patient with seizures at least once a shift.
And what kind of symptoms do you see of these patients with seizures?
Frequently, patients that have seizures, you know that they might either shake uncontrollably, but they can also become very rigid. One of the concerns is them biting their tongue, and that is a finding when someone has had a seizure that lets you know that they probably really did have a seizure. And then another thing that is not uncommon when somebody suffers a seizure is to have urinary incontinence.
What does that mean? What you said?
Urinary incontinence means to basically pee on yourself or lose your bladder. It's not something that that person can control.
Any patients that were brought into your emergency room that dealt with having been suffocated?
Yes.
And what symptoms, if any, did you see on
Their
those?
volume's gone out.
Well, there
must
are
have
people that
muted
can
it.
be suffocated either by strangulation and compression to the neck.
I think
and
it's
that's
me.
by hands or by significant force. Then there's a bone
I
in the
can't
neck called the
hear it.
hyoid bone,
I
and
can
that
now.
frequently can fracture in a situation like that. Not 100% of the time, but when you see that, that is concerning for some type of neck trauma. And it also has constriction of the arteries that go to your brain. So as soon as the blood is not getting, or the brain is not getting blood and oxygen, you can lose consciousness and pass out. And another thing that you can see with compression is what are called petechiae, which is spelled Petechhiae, which are teeny tiny little punctate bruises that you would see from your neck up on the face. And that's not uncommon with compression to the neck.
Now, in this case, I contact you to render an opinion as to the cause of death of Stephanie Pavlons. True?
True.
And did you make an opinion in this case?
Your Honor, I object based on prior rulings of this court.
I'll overrule the objection at this junction, but Mr. Gallivan, you're very well
Yes,
aware
sir.
of my prior rulings.
What materials did you have to rule or strike that review to make that determination?
I not only reviewed the autopsy report, the toxicology testing, the police reports, the photos from the scene, the autopsy photos, text messages, medical records of Stephanie Pavlons. There was some video footage that I reviewed, or still shots of video footage, transcripts of interviews of Matthew Pahl, of other family members. So I am rendering a cause of death opinion with the totality of the evidence.
Are you medically licensed to prescribe prescription drugs?
Yes.
Based upon your review of the medical records of Ms. Pavlons, did you note whether or not Ms. Pavlons was prescribed medication during the year of 2022?
Yes.
Was she prescribed alprazolam?
Yes.
Have you ever prescribed alprazolam?
I have, but we try not to.
Why is strike that? What's alprazolam prescribed for?
Alprazolam, also known as Xanax, is what's called a benzodiazepine, which is benzodiazepine. And a benzodiazepine is a drug that is prescribed for anxiety, and it is a sedative hypnotic. It works actually very similar to alcohol, the same receptors, very similar. And basically the reason why we don't like to try to prescribe it continuously is because it does have a high addiction potential. And there is also a withdrawal syndrome associated with Xanax. Just like you might have heard of alcohol withdrawal, or DTs, which is delirium tremens. One of the life-threatening consequences of alcohol withdrawal is having these DTs and seizures. Benzodiazepines like Xanax also have a withdrawal syndrome that can cause seizures in patients that don't have epilepsy. It can cause them in anybody, which is why we try not to prescribe them chronically.
Based upon your review of the records, was she prescribed oxycodone?
Yes.
Have you ever prescribed oxycodone?
Yes.
What's the purpose of oxycodone? Why do people get prescribed that?
Oxycodone is an opioid pain medication, and it is used to treat pain.
It's not similar to alprazolam, is it, as far as being addiction?
Of course, you can become addicted to opioids, but opioids work at opioid receptors, whereas Xanax works at a receptor called the GABA receptor. Not necessary to understand all of the complexities of those receptors. Both types of medications are addictive, but oxycodone works at opioid receptors. And part of the toxicity of opioids is it causes something called the opioid toxidrome. Toxidrome is the words toxic plus syndrome mashed together in one, and it's a bread and butter term that we use in medical toxicology, and that is the constellation of signs and symptoms that are unique to a certain substance. So all opioids cause the same kind of toxicity, which is pinpoint pupils, so your pupils get teeny tiny, and then central nervous system depression, which is anywhere from being very sleepy to comatose, and then finally, and most importantly, respiratory depression, which is when you're breathing slower and slower until you stop breathing and die. Now, Xanax, those benzodiazepines, can cause central nervous system depression in an overdose situation, but not specifically respiratory depression like the opioids. The respiratory depression associated with opioids like oxycodone is much different from what you see with the sedatives, which is why there was an opioid epidemic, a fentanyl crisis, because of that respiratory depression.
Was Ms. Pavlons prescribed buprenorphine?
Yes.
Could you spell that, please?
Judge, I'm sorry, I'm going to object again based on the court's prior ruling.
I'm going to have a hearing outside the presence of the jury. Okay.
All rise for the jury.
All right, have a seat, everybody. Thank you. Be seated. So, Ms. Opper, his last question was whether Ms. Pavlons was prescribed a certain substance.
Yes.
The name escapes me right now, and you objected.
So I agree that question on its face is probably not objectionable, but the concern is, just like what we just had with the alprazolam, Your Honor, in the report that was authored by Dr. Hale, which I have, the last one I have from her is dated August 7th, 2025. There's no reference to alprazolam. There was no alprazolam detected in Ms. Pavlon's toxicology. Yet, they just asked her to opine, how can alprazolam kill you? There's no buprenorphine found in her toxicology, and he's about to go into how can withdrawal from buprenorphine kill you, or what effects can that have? He's implied to this jury that she knows the cause of death, and yet, based on your earlier ruling, she's not going to be able to provide that opinion to the jury. So this is very confusing and misleading. There's no reason to be discussing these drugs that are not part of the toxicology and specifically referenced in her report.
Ms. Galaviz, your response?
Doctor, based upon your review...
Oh, your response to me.
Oh, Judge, there was alprazolam, I believe, in Ms. Pavlon's system. So I'm not sure what the objection is about alprazolam. These were things that Ms. Pavlons was described that she was taking during that month of from the summer of 2022. Because of her state, her decomposition, you couldn't take blood from her, so they only could take it out of her liver. So I think, I know Ms. Opper doesn't want the jury to hear this, but it's unknown whether or not this was in her system because of, but alprazolam was because of the decomposition of the body and the lack of blood. But
So I'm looking at Dr. Hale's report, page 14. Do you have your report with you, Doctor?
I don't have it with me, but I would like to.
Put up,
I could give it to her, Judge.
I'm going to show her. There's page 14, and it says positive findings, and it mentions a number of substances. That's document 156 from our file, and we'll just put up that document. Document 163, I'm sorry. I apologize, Madam Clerk. As always, you're right. Page 14. Should come up shortly, Doctor. It's frozen. All right.
Judge, I could show her if you want me to. I have an exhibit.
All right, bring it up.
It would be defense exhibit number 442. You want me to go to page 14?
Yes, sir. Doctor, page 14 lists positive findings. Those are the substances that were reported to you to be present in some tissue, correct?
Correct.
From the autopsy report or the toxicology report, correct?
Correct.
All right. Ms. Galaviz, you can ask her where alprazolam is in there or some kind of substance or derivative of that.
Doctor, you're from this NMS report, where is alprazolam connected to those substances found in Ms. Pavlons?
So alprazolam is not on the toxicology findings. It is a medication that was prescribed to Ms. Pavlons.
But you don't dispute that it was prescribed to her, Ms. Opper?
It was prescribed.
Okay.
But,
Right, now I understand.
Okay.
But it wasn't found in her system.
correct.
Right. So, and then oxycodone or its derivative? So what other objections do you have?
So that was on there, and that's in her report on the bottom of page 14, that oxymorphone was found.
Right, metabolite of oxycodone.
Yes.
So your
So-
concern was the
The
alprazolam.
prazolam and then the buprenorphine.
And what is buprenorphine, which is just testified about? What substance is that, doctor? Does it have a common name or generic name?
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, doctor.
Buprenorphine is a medication used for opioid addiction. It does have a brand name Suboxone when it is mixed with Narcan, but buprenorphine is the generic name.
Did you
And
have excuse me for a second, did you have a prescription for it, Mr. Galaviz?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, did you dispute that, Ms. Hopper?
I don't dispute the prescription. I doubt that it was detected.
Okay, all right. So I previously indicated that the doctor can report about the substances found in Ms. Pavlon's tissue. And we've had other evidence about the tissue or the strength of the findings and so on. So there was a prescription for alprazolam or Xanax, and if there was a prescription for Suboxone and it's some substance in it, I am going to allow that testimony that there may have been a prescription for it. But I think whether or not it's relevant is a subject for cross-examination. But I want to be really clear here. I've made my ruling
Right, Judge.
about what this doctor can report. She can report about the toxicology findings and the other verbiage about the cause of death, what she believed golfers could see or not see. That is off limits. And I think I've made that very clear previously before. And if you get even close to that, I'm not going to wait for an objection. Right?
Right.
to clarify for me, what
Mr. Gallagher should have done that for you already.
Judge, I did, but I think you ruled that she could not testify as to the manner of death, not the cause of death.
She is able to testify about her beliefs about the toxicology. Right?
Right,
The
but-
report sets those things out. She says certain things. In each of the substances, she makes findings about. I'm just going to start looking at page 15. The end of the first paragraph. Acute overdose cannot be ruled out. Death from caffeine toxicity is rare and thus unlikely. Death from cotinine, COTININE toxicity is unlikely, etc. She's made those findings about those substances. And I think I've made it very clear about, in the motions in limine, her ability to testify today. And I've made those findings already.
Correct. And
Right?
just-
And I presume you've related them to her clearly.
Correct.
It's your responsibility, not my responsibility. today.
Right, and again, your ruling was that she was not to give an opinion as to the manner of death, not the cause of death.
She can testify about the substances that she made findings on and whether or not they contributed to her cause to death. I think I made that clear.
So my concern, Your Honor, is that nowhere in this report does she say the cause of death for Stephanie Pavlons is blank.
I understand that.
So I have a lack of notice as to what she's about to say. Absolutely no idea what she's about to say.
But you do. You have her report, and if she says something else, you can impeach her with it.
But I can't because she never says in the report her cause of death is oxycodone overdose or alprazolam overdose.
there's
Or she
drama
doesn't say
here.
what the cause of death is. Her ultimate conclusion is suicide must be considered, which is what you
Specifically indicated was not to be testified.
correct.
Hey, Hokies,
Suicide is not a cause of death
welcome.
anywhere, it's
Nice
a
to
manner of
see
death.
you.
But that's what her report says. But my concern again, Judge, and I'm sorry to be repeating myself, but I have no problem if he says to her, was she prescribed alprazolam? Yes, she was prescribed alprazolam. But to allow her to say what are the effects of withdrawal of alprazolam or can death result from alprazolam when there's nothing in this record gives an improper miscommunication to this jury that, boy, there must be something more here. He could, I believe, my request is he can ask what she's prescribed. But if it's not in her toxicology, we don't know if she consumed it or not. We just simply don't know. Nobody knows. Dr. Hale doesn't know. I don't know. Nobody knows unless it's in her tox.
I understand that. And I think that's a proper subject for cross-examination. So I'm going to allow that testimony, right? As to what she was prescribed and perhaps what those substances may or may not be.
I'm good. How about you?
Any indication in the toxicology report, and that whether or not alprazolam could cause X, Y, or Z, that's a fair and appropriate subject for cross-examination, whether or not it was at all present.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll bring the jurors back.
All rise for the jury.
Look at that sheriff right there. He's the one that was in the Jesse one in Waukesha.
Good to see everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. As I indicated, from time to time, there's going to be a legal issue that has to be taken up between the court and the lawyers. That's exactly what we've done. Mr. Valdez, continue.
Yes, Judge. Doctor, was she prescribed buprenorphine?
Yes.
Have you, for the court report, could you spell it please?
B-U.
Just got it.
Okay.
Have you ever prescribed that medication?
Yes.
What's the purpose of that medication?
Buprenorphine is nicknamed Bup in the medical community, and it is used to treat opioid addiction. And the way that it works is it goes to the opioid receptors and partially binds to those receptors, so it tricks the receptors to having an opioid there. And you may have heard the name Suboxone before, which is a trade name associated with this medication. And we are starting to prescribe this more and more in the emergency department setting to help people with opioid withdrawal.
Was she prescribed sertraline?
Yes.
And just for the record, Sertraline.
Yes.
Have you ever prescribed that?
No, we try not to prescribe psychiatric medications from the emergency department. That is something that we would do in conjunction with our psychiatric faculty.
Was she prescribed Torpiramate?
Yes.
How do you say that?
Topiramate.
Have you ever prescribed that?
I have, but again, topiramate is a medication that can either treat seizures or it can also treat migraines, and we might prescribe it short term, but our hope would be that that patient receives continuity of care either by their primary care physician or their neurologist to continue that kind of long-term prescription.
Was she prescribed clonidine? Spelled Clonidine.
Yes.
Have you ever prescribed that?
Yes.
What's that for?
Well, clonidine actually has two purposes. The first, most commonly, is to treat high blood pressure. The other reason why it may be prescribed is to treat opioid cravings.
Was she prescribed bupropion?
Yes.
Spelled Bupropion. Have you ever prescribed that?
Again, this is a psychiatric medication, and same thing, we try not to prescribe psychiatric medications for emergency patients because we would want that to be in conjunction with our psychiatric colleagues.
Again, you are a medical toxicologist, true?
True.
And your expertise is in prescription drugs or illegal drugs?
Yes.
And your expertise in this field, how long have you done it?
Since 2004.
Is it dangerous for a patient to mix these drugs?
It can be, yes.
Is it dangerous for a patient who's prescribed any of these drugs to stop taking them?
It depends on which one. Alprazolam is, again, a medication that if you stop it, you can develop a withdrawal syndrome. So part of that withdrawal syndrome that is dangerous is seizure activity. Alcohol withdrawal, benzodiazepine withdrawal is a life-threatening condition, whereas opioid withdrawal, albeit extremely uncomfortable, is not a life-threatening condition. Opioid toxicity is, but not opioid withdrawal.
Now, you talked about the documents you received from the medical examiner. Does that include the NMS report?
Yes.
Prior to this court case, have you ever seen an NMS report?
Oh, almost every day.
I'm showing you it's marked as State Defense Exhibit number 442, and just for the witness, please. Is it? Oh. Let me take. I made a mistake. Exhibit number 443, doctor. Tell me when it's on your screen.
This is NMS Labs. NMS stands for National Medical Services, and it is the go-to forensic toxicology laboratory in the entire country. It's located in Pennsylvania, and many medical examiners, even from California to New York to Texas, send their samples to NMS Labs, as well as sometimes other types of samples as well, and they are the ones that will do the forensic toxicology testing.
Now I'm gonna scroll. Does this appear to be the NMS report for Ms. Pavlons?
Yes.
Do you recognize this as being the report from Ms. Pavlons?
Yes.
It's an 8-page report? 8 pages?
Yes.
Judge, I'd ask to admit this exhibit and publish it to the jury.
Any objection?
Oh, Judge, we had previously stipulated to this exhibit.
Okay, go ahead. It's admitted.
What the jury's seeing now is the initials for NMS2. Is that right, Doctor? The its initials for the NMS lab is at the top page of this exhibit, true?
True,
Ms. Pavlon's name is on there, true?
true.
And as far as you know, this is the report that was generated by the medical examiner.
This report is generated by NMS Labs and then forwarded to the medical examiner.
What does the labs receive from the medical examiner in order to generate this report?
Well,
Objection, lack of foundation.
I'll sustain that objection, yes, for that question.
Have you ever submitted samples to the NMS to the lab in Pennsylvania?
no, I have not.
I'm showing you as marked as again page 1. What is the jury seeing right in front of them?
So these are the final results of the toxicology testing that was performed on Stephanie Pavlon. So in other words, they may test for a whole menu. It's actually when you submit samples to NMS Labs, there are different menus that you can choose as far as what to have tested. And in general, they're pretty broad testing of a number of different substances, and they'll test for all of those different substances. And whatever ends up being positive will get reported inside this black box.
Is there anything significant about what you see on these results from Ms. Pavlon?
Well, typically, when the medical examiner sends samples to NMS Labs, it's usually blood or urine. It's not as common to submit liver or muscle tissue, but what has been described is the advanced state of decomposition in this case, where there was not any blood or urine, or oftentimes vitreous, which is the eyeball jelly that can be tested for. Because of the state of decomposition in this case, vitreous was not available, but you can still confirm the presence of substances in other types of tissue, in this case, liver and muscle.
Now, you indicated that Ms. Pavlon was prescribed alprazolam.
Yes,
Based upon your review of her medical records, was it something that she was supposed to take every day?
yes,
The findings in this exhibit do not have alprazolam listed. Did you note that?
correct. There's no alprazolam or metabolites of alprazolam. A metabolite is what your body changes one substance into another. All drugs get metabolized, so to speak. And so alprazolam has metabolites that are not present here, nor is alprazolam, the parent molecule, present either.
Would you know that had Ms. Pavlon taken her alprazolam as prescribed, would we have noted a finding for alprazolam in this report?
We should, unless for some reason it was below the level of detection in this tissue.
Was there anything else that you needed to receive from myself, or in this case, to render any kind of opinion?
Can you be more specific?
Do you believe I gave you all the material that you needed to render an opinion in this case?
Yes,
Did you note that on a report?
I did.
I'm going to show you it's marked as exhibit number 442, and again, this is just for the witness. Let me know when you see it.
I see it.
Now, this is a report that you drafted for this case, State of Wisconsin versus Matthew Pahl, true?
True.
And this appears to be the first page of the report?
Yes,
And is this your final draft?
I believe so, yes.
And it's dated August 7, 2025.
Yes,
Page 1 of the report discusses your qualifications, true?
yes.
Why did you find that significant to list that on this report?
Why do I put qualifications in a report?
Yes, ma'am.
I put qualifications in every report that I generate just to describe my education, background, and experience.
Page 2 of your report, it's labeled methodology.
Yes.
What's the purpose of that?
Well, methodology is how an expert goes about reaching an opinion. And whether it's somebody in a laboratory who describes the technique that they use to analyze something, or fingerprints or DNA, that's the methodology that they use. When a medical expert is giving or rendering a medical opinion, it is also, there is a certain methodology that we follow, and that is the method of differential diagnosis.
That same page discusses, in general, the cause of death, true?
Yes, in general, yes.
And it lists traumatic causes of death. What does that mean?
Well, part of differential diagnosis, if I may explain, is when somebody comes to the emergency department, let's say, and they are complaining of certain symptoms, physicians generate what's called a differential diagnosis, meaning that we go through this mental flow chart of what could possibly be going on with this patient. And so take, for example, chest pain. Is the chest pain because someone dropped a weight on their chest, or are they having a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot to the lung, or are they having a heart attack? And so we ask a series of questions, and we will do a physical exam, and then we will obtain ancillary studies like laboratory, EKG, x-rays, CAT scans, in order to rule in or rule out a diagnosis. And there are some diagnoses in that mental flow chart that are high in the differential, and then there are some diagnoses that are low in the differential. So more likely it's this versus that. And so when you are doing a cause of death opinion, remember, cause of death is a diagnosis. And so the methodology of a medical physician is to go through the same type of methodology for cause of death. And so first you want to rule out traumatic causes of death. Then in general, you want to look at natural causes of death. And then finally, you will consider the toxicology findings. And then last but not least, you consider an arrhythmia, which is a lethal heart rhythm. And the reason why that is last but not least is because there's nothing that you can see on an autopsy to rule in or rule out an arrhythmia, so it becomes a diagnosis of exclusion. So that is the differential diagnosis or methodology that all physicians would use in rendering a cause of death opinion.
Judge, I'm going to object and move to strike based on prior rulings in the court's earlier discussion with counsel outside the presence of the jury.
I'm going to overrule that objection. You can continue, Mr. Gallies.
Your report mentions the things you just discussed with the jury. It also talks about toxicological causes of death.
Yes.
What's that?
Well, a toxicological cause of death is a death from a substance or a poison. It can be a prescription drug, it can be an illicit drug, it can be a chemical type of exposure, but specifically when we're talking about a toxicologic cause of death, it involves interpretation of post-mortem drug levels. And typically, if you were to do an autopsy or look at a dead body, there's really not much that you can see to determine whether or not someone died from a toxicologic exposure, illicit or prescription medication. And so what you're left with are these drug levels. And what's very important when you're considering a toxicologic cause of death is not to hang your hat on a specific number. And I will tell you that when I tell lawyers this, and honestly, when I tell a lot of other physicians this, it's like telling them that there's no such thing as Santa Claus, because it's hard to believe that impairment, for example, in a driving while intoxicated case, or intoxication, or cause of death is determined by a blood level alone. And this is true if you have blood. This is true even if the person is still living, because, for example, if someone gets into a car crash and they have methamphetamine present, it is not determined that they're impaired based on that level, and that's living blood. So there are only a handful of substances that we check blood levels on in the healthcare settings. There's just a few. Everything else, you have to correlate the post-mortem or the ante-mortem blood levels, which we don't typically get, with peri-mortem circumstances, with how a person may have been looking around the time of their death. And it is not determined by the level in and of itself. So if it's not something that we can determine from blood, you certainly cannot make a determination based on a level that is in liver or muscle tissue.
In your report, you discuss opioid TOXI, and death. You have a page of that discussion. What's that about?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
What's relevant, sir? Mr. Gallies.
Is in your animus report there's oxymorphine, true?
Oxymorphone.
So I'll sustain the objection. Okay, he's asked another question. Go ahead, next.
In this case, what were the pertinent details that you considered in rendering an opinion?
Can you repeat that?
What pertinent details did you consider in rendering your opinion?
Well, as I was describing earlier, it is
More
important.
specific, Mr. Gallies. Just a second, Doctor. Go ahead.
Well, you looked at the pertinent details about Miss Stephanie Pavlons, true?
True.
And that's what you took into consideration?
Yes.
And what was pertinent about her that you considered?
All right, let's excuse the jury for a second, okay?
All right, the jury.
Have a seat, everybody. The jury's left. Mr. Gallies, I told you that I would stop without an objection. Your question was, and what was pertinent about her that you considered? The answer to that in the doctor's report is that she considered things that I indicated very clearly in my prior ruling that I would not allow the doctor to testify about. You've been asked, and
Me too,
don't play
Joe.
cards, you're asking a far too open-ended question that if she answers truthfully, she's going to get into things that I said she could not testify about. And that's why I asked you to be more specific, Mr. Gallagher. If you can't do that, then the response is going to be
More
full charge,
drama.
Dr. Hale. You need to be more specific in light of my prior ruling on the motions in limine, all right?
Correct.
And you can think about that. We're going to take a break right now for the afternoon, about 10 minutes or so. You can step down, doctor. Thank you.
I'm all caught up now, guys. We should be just about. Because that was, they took a break for about 10 minutes. So all I have to do is move forward. Thanks, guys, for stopping by to chat. No, you can chat about anything. Doesn't have to be this case. Could be about anything.
Ruled to be inadmissible. And so, I mean, object to just wholesale publishing and scrolling through it in front of the jury and things like that. I guess if there's.
Okay, just had to go back because I missed the beginning. So we're just
Bring the
about
jurors back from the state.
just
Your
a
Honor,
few minutes
continuing on what we've been
behind.
discussing. I am going to, I'm not going to object to the
Live
admissibility of
stream it.
442, but to publication, I am, because there's so many things. I mean, Mr. Galaviz keeps scrolling through it as he's asking questions. I don't want the jurors to see things that this court has ruled to be inadmissible. And so, I mean, object to just wholesale publishing and scrolling through it in front of the jury and things like that. I guess if there's a particular area of the report that he wants to ask about that the court has allowed, I wouldn't object to that.
I'm
But
very cognizant of that, ma'am, and I have been watching and looking at the report as we go through this, and I'm very cognizant of that. And when and if there's a request, I'll rule appropriately.
okay, thank you.
All right, anything else, Mr. Galaviz, before I bring the jurors back?
Yes, Judge, for purposes of my witness, I'm a little confused. I know she's a little confused because I read your motion ruling on the Dauber hearing several times. She's read the transcripts herself. And again, your ruling was she was not to discuss in any shape or form manner of death, and she understands that. We're not discussing any kind of manner of death here thus far. It's just cause of death. You didn't prohibit her to give an opinion as to the cause of death, just the manner of death, that she wasn't qualified to give that opinion.
I understand that, Mr. Galaviz, but I want to be really clear. That question that caused me to stop was when you asked her, and what was pertinent about her that you considered? And that's a very open question, and the things that she considered in her report were some of which I said, no, she doesn't have the ability to testify about it.
Right.
And look,
And she knows not.
Mr. Galaviz, let me finish, all right? This is not my first rodeo, okay? The way you asked that question was a very open-ended question that
Except
called
my
me to
first
respond
rodeo.
with everything that you considered.
Love it.
Ask a question, you can, and this is not your first rodeo. You know what my ruling was.
They're
You know what is
irritating
not
the
testified
judge.
about. You can make a question, you can construct a question that keeps the doctor to those areas that are permitted.
Right.
And if you can't do that, we'll stop.
No, and she knows what she can't testify to. I've instructed her what she cannot say.
Then ask better questions. Anything else? No? Ms. Hopper?
Again, Judge, I renew my objection on the grounds of lack of notice to the state of Wisconsin. At no time in this report or at the Dauber hearing did she testify, I conclude cause of death is blank. Now she's going to get up here for the first time in direct examination and tell the jury what she thinks happened? It's nowhere in her report. They've given us no notice whatsoever.
Love it.
She's testified.
God.
When I look at her report, the way I read it, it says these things did not cause her death. And, or that there was inconclusive evidence of the cause or the amount. So that's what I read. And if she strays outside that, then I'll take care of it when I have to.
Yeah.
I think my ruling has been clear from the time we had the motion in limine, what she can testify about. And you're correct. She
What you hear
stated in her
cannot be
report-
unheard.
I mean, the plain language,
Right.
the plain English says, again, I'm just going to quote some, inconclusive whether an overdose of topiramate, not enough evidence to determine whether an overdose of sertraline, not enough evidence to determine whether an overdose of oxycarbazepine contributed to her death, ibuprofen unlikely, cotinine toxicity unlikely. That's what she's reported. And I think we're clear where we're going to go, and we're not going to go beyond that. And if she's reported in a report about the manner of death, and I've indicated that that's not to be testified to. And again, I expect Mr. Gallagher's talking about. I'm taking, and I'm listening carefully to the questions. We're going to move forward. And again, if I think that there's going to be an attempt to cross the line, given my prior ruling, I won't make an objection. All right? Let's bring the jurors back.
All rise for the jury.
All right, all 14 have returned. Thank you very much. Have a seat, everybody. All right, you may continue, Mr. Galaviz.
You indicated that you reviewed the NMS report from Pavlons. True.
True.
She was on prescribed alprazolam, but you did alprazolam in the NMS report.
Correct.
She was on seizure medication. Did you note any seizure medication on the NMS report?
There was.
Was there a lot of seizure levels in the lab report?
Well, as I testified earlier, you cannot make any kind of decision based on a post-mortem level.
You indicated for this you reviewed police reports. True.
True.
Did you review any background material for Ms. Pavlons as far as history?
Yes.
And what was that?
I reviewed her medical records from a Dr. Francis McCann at an Aurora Health Clinic. I reviewed medical records from her neurologist, and I reviewed a diary that she kept, and reviewed transcripts of interviews with family members.
In the review of the medical records, did you note anything significant?
Objection vague.
Be more specific, Mr. Galaviz.
In the review of the medical records, did you note anything significant connected to Ms. Pavlon's cause of death?
Objection vague.
Be more specific, Mr. Galaviz.
What did you know significant? Did you note anything significant in the medical records?
Objection vague.
I said you have to be more specific, Mr. Galaviz.
What?
Why don't you lead on this question?
Thank you, Judge.
So you're there on
In the
September
past
9th.
medical history, there was a discussion of her being treated for seizures, true?
True.
And convulsions, true?
Did you talk to
Convulsion by
anyone
seizures.
about this other than law enforcement that day?
There's reports in her medical records about depression.
Yes.
Did you tell anyone that walked by that you found a woman in the woods?
There actually was somebody that approached us,
There's
and she asked what had been
reports regarding her
somebody in her players that we discovered body.
opioid dependency.
So that's all you shared
Fire
with
room.
anyone other than law enforcement.
That's correct.
You said that he was doing based on the color of the shoe.
I'll allow it. I will remove objection.
I think so, yes.
Nothing else stuck out to you that made you think that.
Yes, there are indications in her medical records about opioid dependence, which is why she was prescribed buprenorphine.
And my objection is not from the September 12th motion hearing, but from the motions earlier in the year regarding motion to eliminate.
All right. I'll allow it. I'll remove objection. Continue, Mr. Galaviz.
You indicated that you also reviewed her diary.
True.
And in her diary, she had comments about suicide, true?
True.
You reviewed the note discovered, or you don't know where it was discovered, but the note that has been testified, a note found in Mr. Pavlon's truck reference to discussing suicide, true?
Objection, Your Honor.
Staying, don't answer it. Next question.
Did you review the note that was found in Mr. Pahl's truck?
Just moving him along.
Did you consider Ms. Pavlon's physical health?
Yes.
Did you consider her
She
mental health?
looked good.
Yes.
Physical health.
Dr. Shield ruled cause of death as undetermined.
Is that question? Objection?
Basis.
I'm not sure if that was a question for the witness or just a statement by Mr. Galaviz.
I finished.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Dr. Shield, well, ultimately you saw the autopsy, Dr. Shield's finding after the autopsy, true?
True.
You also saw the final death certificate with Dr. Shields' finding, true?
True.
Do you agree that Dr. Shields' finding is appropriate under the circumstances?
Yes.
Would you agree based upon, again, you're under the totality of circumstances that there are other possibilities?
Yes.
Would you agree that that there's a medical possibility?
Objection vague.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Was, in this case, a seizure a possibility?
Yes.
In this case, was an overdose a possibility?
Yes.
Do you believe a natural cause of death is a possibility?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to start with your work at Parkland. You said it's the busiest ER in the country, right?
It is.
And you're known for having treated President Kennedy after he was shot.
Well, not me personally. I wasn't born yet.
Parkland.
Yes.
There you go. All right. And let me ask you a question, Dr. Hale. Have you ever treated a victim of domestic violence in your ER?
Oh, yes, many times.
Many, many
That was
times.
a bit
Very
funny.
common for a person to present with me to the emergency room with complaints of domestic violence, or now I think they call it intimate partner violence, correct? And as an emergency room physician, you actually receive training on the dynamics of domestic violence, correct?
Yes.
Helps you know what to look for, things a victim may say or not say to you, to obtain, for you to obtain good information and provide treatment, correct?
Of course.
And of course,
Gonna go at her
you want
now.
to try and attempt to prevent future acts of domestic violence for the patient, right?
Yes.
If possible.
Yes.
Okay. If you ever, you're aware of the fact that a lot of times domestic violence victims will not report their abuse?
Yes.
That's very, very common, isn't it?
Yes.
They won't tell even their closest friend or family member, correct?
Correct.
Oftentimes they won't call the police.
Correct.
Oftentimes they're very isolated by their abuser, correct?
Yes.
They can be controlled financially, emotionally, correct?
Yes.
You can even have a circumstance where the abuser dictates the movement of the victim. In other words, she's not allowed to leave the house without him, correct?
Yes.
She's not allowed to stay home without him, correct?
Sometimes.
Okay. And you would agree with me that a person could lose control of their bladder when they're confronted with life and death fear, correct?
Sure.
They could also lose their bladder when they are strangled, correct?
Possibly, yes.
In fact, the research shows that even within a shorter period of time as 5 to 10 seconds, a person can lose control of their bladder when they're being strangled, correct?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. And death can occur, I think the research says something between like 60 seconds to 157 seconds. Does that sound right?
I don't know. It depends on so many different circumstances.
Sure. But there is research that would support, at least in a strangulation case, death can result in a range of 62 to 157 seconds, correct?
Again, I'm not aware of any specific literature on that topic, so I can't speak to that. And yes, it does kind of depend on different circumstances.
Sure. Loss of consciousness can occur in 5 to 10 seconds. That sounds right?
Yes.
And loss of bladder control within about 15 seconds?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. You would agree with me that the research that was published in the Journal of Emergency Science indicated that a prior non-fatal strangulation is a very strong predictor of a future fatal strangulation, correct?
I'm not aware of which literature you're referring to.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a report that was published, maybe I said the name wrong, the Journal of Emergency Medicine? You've heard of that publication, correct?
Yes.
And it's a very well-respected journal, correct?
Sure.
I'd imagine as an emergency room physician, you probably read it frequently.
Depending on the topic, sure.
Okay. And are you aware that in 2008 they published an article that primary author was a Dr. Nancy Glass, who concluded that prior non-fatal strangulation was associated with greater than 600-time odds of becoming an attempted homicide and over 700-time odds of becoming a completed homicide.
No, because I have not memorized medical literature.
Okay. You don't dispute that conclusion, though, do you?
I don't know how I can possibly dispute a conclusion of an article that I have not reviewed.
Okay. I'm asking based on your training and experience. Like, if a person presents to you in the ER and says she was strangled by her intimate partner, that sets off a huge red flag for you, correct?
Of course.
It's extremely dangerous behavior, correct?
Sure.
It doesn't take long to kill somebody by strangling them, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And because of this conclusion of this finding, it's recommended that doctors, nurses, and other people working in the ER screen victims of domestic violence for non-fatal strangulations, correct?
Again, I'm happy to answer your questions in general, but I am not going to answer a question specific to a study that I have not reviewed.
Sure. So I'm asking you, in your hospital, do you try and screen victims of domestic violence for prior acts of strangulation?
We screen every single patient that presents to our emergency department for domestic violence.
Because it's such a dangerous behavior, right?
Of course.
And it's a huge risk to a person's health and safety, correct?
Yes.
You agree with me that through your training in domestic violence, you've learned that when a victim gets close to trying to leave his or her abuser, that's the most dangerous time for that person, correct?
It can be, yes.
And that's why you do safety planning with a victim, right?
Yes.
And that's something you'd even do at the ER, maybe not you personally, but you may refer a victim to social services or somebody that can help with safety planning if they tell you, I'm in an abusive relationship and I'm trying to get out.
Yes, we would consult what's called VIP at Parkland, which stands for Violent Intervention Prevention, and that would be something that we would do in conjunction together.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hale. I wanted to ask you about I want to ask you about the NMS report. I think it was exhibit, let me see for you, 443. Remember when Mr. Galvey displayed that?
Yes.
Okay, and I read on there, and if you want, we can put it back up, but I read on there that there were two sources of sample that were provided to NMS lab, correct?
Yes.
There was liver tissue, correct?
Correct.
And skeletal tissue, I'm sorry, pardon me, muscle tissue, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Of the two, do you know the quality of those samples that were presented to the tox lab?
No, I don't.
Okay. If I told you that Dr. Shield testified the other day that the quality of the liver tissue was extremely compromised and that she was very concerned about it because there was a presence of maggots in the liver and maggot droppings in the liver, and she had grave concerns about cross-contamination. As a toxicologist, does that cause you concern as well, ma'am?
It certainly would affect the levels, which is why I've testified before that you can't rely on levels in a vacuum. However, believe it or not, maggots and other insect casings are frequently also tested in postmortem toxicology situations because you can find those substances in the insects and their pupal casings, I think is the word. I am not a bug expert or a forensic entomologist, but as far as confirmation of the substance, the fact that we see prescription medications that Ms. Pavlons was taking and confirmed in this tissue, again, I don't care what the actual number is, but it was confirmed. I feel like there was, just because you have insects present doesn't necessarily affect the sample because you can actually test the insects themselves.
Okay. Did you read anything that told you the insects that were collected in this case were tested at NMS?
No, but your question was, should the fact that there are maggots in the liver tissue affect confirmation of the substance? The answer is absolutely not.
No, my question was, are you aware that Dr. Shield said she did not put much faith in the veracity of the toxicology findings from the liver tissue because it had deteriorated and decomposed so much? Were you aware that was Dr. Shield's opinion?
I was, and I actually did see her opinion. And again,
thank you. That's all. Did you do anything, either by contacting Dr. Shield or NMS or what? I'm not sure.
Oh my God, she got off.
Did you do anything to try and learn for yourself
Oh my
the quality of
God.
the sample that was sent to NMS?
No.
And what about the muscle tissue? Is that a good source? Typically, would you be relying on muscle tissue for toxicology purposes?
Getting good.
You could technically rely on any substance that you're able to test, especially for,
Fanta.
again, not
We
the
love
levels.
that.
I think comparing liver to muscle, liver is better, but of course, blood and vitreous is better than liver and muscle.
Sure. And we didn't have those things either, correct? The vitreous in the blood.
Correct.
Okay. And your testimony, if I understood it on direct examination, is that Ms. Pavlons, you knew from reviewing records, was prescribed a number of medications, correct?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me, Dr. Hale, that looking just at the NMS report, some of these medications don't show up anywhere, correct?
I don't know what you mean.
Some of the medications she prescribed were not found by NMS labs, correct?
Correct.
And you'd only be speculating as to why that may be, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were you aware of the fact that Matthew Pahl was also prescribed oxycodone?
Yes.
And that Matthew Pahl was also prescribed alprazolam?
Yes.
Were you aware of the fact that Stephanie complained that he would commonly take her alprazolam?
Yes.
Were you aware of any entry in a journal or any other record that you reviewed where Ms. Pavlons wrote that she was going to take herself off of Xanax or alprazolam?
I don't recall that specifically.
She never wrote and said, boy, today's the day, I'm just going to stop taking alprazolam, correct?
Correct.
And her doctors would have strongly recommended against that, correct?
Yes.
Probably even on the pill bottle, isn't it?
Possibly, or within the instructions that you would pick up.
Sure, okay, from the pharmacy. Okay. There's no basis to believe, based on the record and what the information you have, that alprazolam played any role in Ms. Pavlon's death, correct?
Again, I can't rule that out.
Okay. Can't rule it in, can't rule it out.
Well, and to be more specific, not alprazolam toxicity because it's not confirmed post-mortem. However, as I described before, alprazolam withdrawal, even in individuals without a seizure disorder, can develop seizures.
Sure, but there's no evidence of that. You're just saying, generally speaking, alprazolam withdrawal can kill you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But we have nothing in this record that says Stephanie Pavlons was withdrawing from alprazolam, correct?
Correct.
Did you review the photographs and the documentation of the crime scene when they found the body on September 9th of 2000?
Well, I would say I reviewed the scene, yes.
Okay, the photographs
Yes.
and the police reports from the detectives who were out there and things like that, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that there was absolutely no pill bottles found anywhere near Stephanie Pavlons, correct?
Yes.
No drug paraphernalia whatsoever, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever hear anything about a really big pink water bottle that she was carrying around that day? Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
That was not found near her body, was it?
No.
Okay, please, All right, thank you, doctor. I don't have any other questions for you.
Redirect.
Doctor, is it necessary to find pill bottles, or was it necessary to find pill bottles by Ms. Pavlon's body to not consider an overdose?
No, especially in the sense that both of them would carry pills in their pockets.
You were asked that if you were aware that Pahl would take Stephanie Pavlon's pills. You remember that question?
Yes.
You remember by reading the police reports and interviews why Stephanie Pavlons wanted Pahl to monitor her prescriptions.
Objection calls for hearsay.
Sustained. Next question.
I mean, you were aware that Stephanie Pavlons would abuse her prescription medication, true?
Objection.
Sustained. Don't answer. Next question.
Well, you read her diaries, true?
True.
And you read the police reports, true?
True.
And you read or listened to family interviews, true?
Yes.
And based upon all that information, did you glean anything that Stephanie Pavlons abused her medication?
Objection, Your Honor. This goes to the motion in limine.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
All right, recross.
No, Your Honor. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much, Doctor. You are excused. Take care. Who's next, Mr. Gowdy or Mr.
Whoa.
Your Honor, the next witness will be Emily Pescador, our canine expert.
Okay. All covered in the university department. So whether it's trauma, whether it's
I wonder how long the defense is going to last. A day or two? The dog handler is up next. The canine handler. Because, you know, they can't bring the dog in for a witness, you know. And they wanted to exclude the dog because it couldn't be a witness. And now they want to bring the dog handler up for a witness.
That's not her? Come on over here, Sven. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. And if you could raise your right hand and face her.
Please swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes.
All right, have a seat, please. Can you tell me your name, please?
Alex Pastor.
Tell me again,
Of
spell
course,
the
it's
first
their
and the last.
own witness, though. Different witness.
Scador.
Okay, very good. And go ahead. Okay, let's go.
Thank you. Can you give your name and spell your name for the record?
Did that already.
I'm sorry, Your
Got
Honor.
it, that's okay.
This judge is,
Um,
he's pissed.
Ms.
He's
Pesco,
in a
how are you
hurry.
employed?
I own a DNA Canine. It's a training company for cadaver dogs.
And generally, what does that company do?
I do consulting and I sell training equipment generally, and I teach at seminars for human remains detection on cadaver dogs.
And how long have you been in that business?
Since 2022.
Okay. Where did you go to college?
The University of Southern Mississippi.
And when did you obtain your degree?
This year, 2025, I graduated in May.
Okay, and what was your degree?
I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science with a concentration in Forensic Anthropology and a minor in Biological Sciences.
It's safe to say that a lot of your experience predates your getting your degree, correct?
Yes, that started with dog training in 2008 and cadaver dogs in 2018.
Okay, so let's go back to that. When did you start training dogs?
2008.
Okay, and when did you start training detection type dogs?
2018.
Okay, describe how what happened that got you into that.
I met my first mentor, Mr. Don Abney, in Louisiana. He was a retired sheriff's deputy with the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office right outside of New Orleans.
Okay, could you spell that parish name for our court reporter?
Sure. St. Tammany's S-T and Tammany Tammany.
Thank you.
Sheriff's Department.
And I apologize. The gentleman's name as well, his last name?
Abney, A-B-N-E-Y.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, go ahead, sir.
So Mr. Abney was also what you would be what could be considered a court expert in canine training and human remains detection canines.
Your Honor, I'm going to object and move to strike that last statement by the witness. That was not even in response to a question.
All right, I'll strike the last response. Next question.
Okay, what did Mr. Abney train you in?
He trained me in canine training, which included human remains detection, forensic science generally, canine tracking, canine obedience, canine training.
What methods did he use to train you?
Can you clarify that?
Specifically, what methods did he use to train you? How did you learn?
So that included field training with the dogs and under his instruction. The practical application of that, it included what you might consider classroom training and testing. So I was tested in a traditional sense with pen and paper. I had to take tests on that. And then I had to teach him as if he was a student, and I was presenting to him how to do the actual training.
Why were you learning to be simply a dog handler, or was there more to your training?
It was both. It was being a handler as well as an instructor. So the certifications that I obtained from him after a year were as an instructor.
And who issued those certifications?
Mr. Abney.
Was there an organization that gave you certifications?
It was his company, Abcantra.
Okay. And
Just give us that term again for a court report. Can you spell that?
Abcantra, so A-B-C-A-N-T-A-T-R-A.
Thank you.
Did Mr. Abney also do other types of dog detection?
Not that I can recall. His main specialty area was search and rescue, search and recovery.
Okay. How is cadaver search different from, let's say, drug search?
It's very, very complex as far as the target odor profile that your dog is searching for, because it changes over time based on the stage of decomposition, based on the environment that you're searching in, and based on the training of the dog.
Okay, so would you say that training a cadaver dog takes more or less training than training a drug dog?
It takes consistent training. It takes consistent training. I'm not sure if it would be correct to say more training, as in more often, but it takes more consistent training.
Okay, tell me more about your specific education that you took in this field, or related to this field.
Could you clarify?
What classes in college did you take related to cadaver dog training?
Okay, so at the University of Southern Mississippi, with forensic anthropology, it's very much related to cadaver dog studies, as you might imagine. And I was able to base my education around human decomposition studies with forensic anthropology and being able to mentor under Dr. Marie Danforth and being able to conduct research under her. I was able to complete my undergraduate thesis, which was canine scent discrimination of human remains. And that was conducted over 2 years, and I was able to do the practical application of that in the field with a dog. Would you like me to explain how that worked?
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Witness
I
asking
apologize.
question.
You've never testified in court before?
This is my first time.
Okay. You indicated that you were under the mentorship of Mr. Abney. Were there others that you were under the mentorship of during this time?
At the time that I was
either through school or after?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Who would that be?
After Mr. Abney, and after I started at the University of Southern Mississippi, I completed another internship with Peace River Search and Rescue in Florida. That was 6 months, and I'm still with them to this day as part of their team. And it was an in-person as well as distance training. But that included as well classroom, field training with the dog, and certification.
Okay. Is cadaver dog searching more than just search and rescue? Or what are the other parts of cadaver dog searching, or what are you training them in other than search and rescue specifically?
There are lots of applications to it, lots of different scenarios. You could do historical searches where you're looking in an archaeological context. Could you clarify?
Strike that. I'll go on. Have you participated in investigations for law enforcement agencies?
Yes.
Can you give me some examples of that?
Typically, I try to keep confidential with some, if it's not in the news or if it's not something that they publish, I don't want to speak on it, but there is one example I included in my CV. Out of Forest County, Mississippi, they were able to identify the remains of an individual that one of my dogs was successful in finding.
Can you just tell me more about how that search started and how you came to a conclusion?
With the dog search?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of what happens in Mississippi, we get cases where people will find part of remains, they'll find part of skeletal or tissue remains in the woods, and they'll call the university, or a coroner's office might email me, or even the sheriff's office. And so I will deploy to that area and with my dog and try to recover the rest of the remains. And a lot of times that involves scattered bone or scattered human tissue, and that involves environmental analysis. So I'll have to look at the conditions of the environment, and historically as well, has it rained there, and how might that move odor through the environment? Has it soaked into the ground? Is there elevation changes that might cause gravity to pull the odor away? And how that might affect the dog's search pattern or search behavior when I deploy it into that area. So these are things I have to consider before I even put the dog in there to search. When we brought the dog out, he was successful in locating several of her remains, and what I'll do is I'll also use a GPS device, and I'll mark points on the map where the dog alerts, and this is just my method of doing it in that specific context. And then I'll go back and recover the remains, or if I have other people with me, in this case the sheriff's department and the university anthropology department, we'll work on recovery at the same time, and we were successful in recovering the rest of her remains.
Can you tell me about just one more, and you don't have to name the law enforcement agency, if you want to keep that confidential?
Okay. There was another one in Louisiana where, you know what those pipelines are, they're just long stretches of open area, and they go on next to highways a lot of the time, and they have these cross trails that go across them. So long, open pipelines, and then there's lots of going across them. So I had a dog, same dog that I brought out there, and he's going along and meets one of these cross sections, makes like a T. And so he goes in there and he goes through the right cross section, there's nothing there, but he's catching odor where it intersects, right at the intersection. Goes in and there's nothing there. So he turned around, come out, and he goes to the other side, but there's clearly nothing over there. So he's focused around this tree at that cross section. We look up and there's nothing there. He's not focused on any burial. He gets hung up on that tree and we stop. So if there's nothing there, nothing up, he loses odor. But based on the time of day, and earlier that day, both the detective and I had caught these little puffs of air, which you might consider residual odor, because there's nothing there that we can see, but we could kind of smell it and then it would dissipate. And when it heats up during the day, if you have a source, the heat will cause that odor to push up, and breeze will blow it away. And over time, it'll do this. It'll go up, and then the breeze will blow it, and then it'll land farther away, and that's where the dog will catch it. Now you think back to that trail intersecting, and that might be where that odor lands, and it'll push against that tree. So that trail intersecting, and that breeze blowing in, it'll go into that trail, and it pushed against that tree. And so that's where my dog got caught up. He was caught up in that trail where the odor was pooling against the tree. So the day had ended, we had worked all day, and I had to leave. But I had suggested to the detective if he just searched a little bit longer, if he was going to check, and I couldn't confirm, and I couldn't say you should keep going in this direction and just search a little bit longer, but if he did, the next day, to just walk, I couldn't give him an exact estimation, but just keep walking on this trail, go a little bit farther, and you might find your victim. I think he probably died of exposure based on other information that we had, drug-induced, along that trail, and he was found along that trail. He died of a drug overdose, and he just walked until he passed.
Okay, so you said that it was the same dog in both of those scenarios. How many dogs have you personally trained?
A lot. I have trained hundreds of dogs. For human remains detection, it's really hard for me to say because I've worked with so many people and so many handlers that I can't even estimate.
How many dogs have you, strike that, you own a dog now?
Yes, I own two.
Are they both trained in cadaver searches?
Yes.
And when you say other dogs, who do you train other dogs for?
Private handlers mostly.
Okay. And
volunteers.
Do you know approximately how many people you've trained in cadaver dog searching?
So.
Let's pull that back. how many people have you trained one-on-one in cadaver dog searches?
That's what I'm trying to think, because I teach at seminars quite often and I do private consulting. And I teach at classes that involve multiple handlers in a class. And it is hard for me to come up with an estimate of how many. And I've worked at a professional training kennel. So it's really hard for me to come up with an estimate off the spot.
Would you say that you've trained more than 100 dogs in cadaver scent detection?
I don't want to give like an estimate. I'd say, I can't estimate. I just don't want to give you a wrong answer.
Okay. Besides private entities, what other, have you done training for dogs that are deployed by governmental agencies?
I know that at seminars, I have worked with handlers that were police officers or did work for emergency management agencies. And I have had police search advisors from as far as the United Kingdom come to learn from me.
Okay. And have you provided consulting services?
Yes.
And who do you provide consulting services to?
The same. Search and rescue organizations, emergency management, police, and those are the kind.
Can you give me an example of how you provide consulting services?
Just pausing this a minute. What's happening now is the Jake Haro, Emmanuel, the little boy, the little baby that went missing, the hola mother got punched in the face and said somebody stole her baby. Well, he's being sentenced right now. Do you want to stop now and go straight over to there? Let me know in the chat, because it's happening right now, just beginning. Or do you want to wait? He's just sitting there. Looks like he's lost a little weight. He made the sign of a cross, you know, he's praying. What do you think his sentence is going to be? What do you think he's going to say? Okay, thought I'd just ask. I'm just going to pause this right now and go right over to there. I'd rather watch it live than watch it later. Thanks. I got my phone going on in the background. I don't know. It's still on.
Come to order. Court is now in session.
This is the Jake Haro sentencing. Missing baby, Emmanuel. Hola,
Go forward with the
mother.
sentencing in the Jake Haro
What's she
matter.
gonna do?
Again, announcing to the public there are no use of cell phones, no
use of cell phones as one goes
no
off.
recording except for the pool camera. There will be no comments about the case while the court is in session. No outbursts, and please follow the instructions given by our RSO deputies. With that, calling the matters of Jake Haro. Appearances, please.
Thank you. Paul Markway for Mr. Haro. He is sitting right next to me at council table. And thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Allison Lowe also on behalf of Jake Haro.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. William Robinson for the people.
Good afternoon. Brandon Smith for the people.
Thank you. And good afternoon, Mr. Haro. And this is the time and place set for sentencing. Are both sides ready to go forward at this time?
Yes.
And the court has read and considered the sentencing memorandums provided by Ms. Garthwaite and Ms. Lowe, as well as Mr. Smith and Mr. Robinson, as well as the probation report. At this time, does either side want to be heard further? Mr. Smith, Mr. Robinson, any victim impact statements for the court to consider?
There will be no victim impact statements.
Okay. And Ms. Garthwaite, Ms. Lowe?
Your Honor, I just wanted to very briefly reiterate the defense objection to imposing court fees and fees.
He only faces the maximum of 25 years on a plea deal or just pleading guilty. This is ridiculous.
I believe that the court is going to sentence him to a lengthy sentence. And prior to his arrest, he was unable to work and was receiving disability. So we would object to the court imposing any court fees and fines. If the court is
Disability, my butt.
restitution fine, it is based, or the defense requests that based on the set it no higher than $300, which is the minimum.
Okay. And Mr. Smith, Mr. Robinson, do you want to be heard in regards to that?
Yes, I'd say that while I intend to submit in large part on the sentencing memorandum that I filed with the court, I do want to reiterate that while I understand the court has some discretion in this matter regarding the sentence and the fines and fees, I want to emphasize the fact that this defendant deserves no leniency in any regards as to sentence or as to fines and fees. The court is well aware of how this case began with the defendants standing in front of law enforcement and the public and creating this public panic about a child being kidnapped, and the resources that were expended in order to investigate those lies of the defendant need to be addressed in this sentence as well. So I would ask that the court recognize that in deciding how much to assess the defendant in fines and fees, as well as in exercising its discretion regarding the appropriate sentence in this case.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anything further before the court begins its sentence?
No, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm sorry, we've had, I guess, a change of opinion. So the Emmanuel Haro's grandmother has now asked to address the court about the sentence.
Okay. And are you ready at this time?
And
Hello, ma'am. And Mr. Smith, if we can have an introduction, please.
yes, so this is Emmanuel Haro's maternal grandmother. Her first name is Mary, M-A-R-Y.
What spells it?
And I'll have her spell her last name.
B-U-S-H-A-U-S-E-N.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am, and thank you for being here today. And ma'am, I want to make sure that I hear everything that you have to say, that our court reporter can take down everything that you have to say, and that we have an accurate record. We've cleared our entire afternoon, so you don't feel the need to be rushed. So whenever you're ready, if you could speak loudly and clearly and slowly for us. But whenever you're ready.
I want Jake to look at me. I want him to face me.
And ma'am, if you can address the court.
I would like for him to face me, to look at me.
Okay.
And Nana, if you could speak up as loud as you can, please.
I wanted Jake to face me, to look at me, because I told him that I would be here for his sentencing before he was arrested. I talked to him about, as a friend, to tell me everything, because he didn't give me the opportunity to meet my grandson. He destroyed my whole family. He branded his children for life. He damaged her children, all his children for life. And in doing that, he destroyed my family, my children, everybody in my family. All my children are destroyed by this. He changed my daughter to where we don't know who she is. He never gave me a chance to see my grandchildren. He kept my daughter away. I don't know what he did or how he changed my daughter's life. But she was never that same person after she went to live with him. The only reason Rebecca came back, because in March I had a stroke. And my son got hold of her and told her I was in ICU. That's how I met Mackenzie, my 2-year-old granddaughter. I didn't even know she existed. I was not aware that she was pregnant with Mackenzie. I was not aware that she was pregnant with Emmanuel. I never met Emmanuel. You know, he deprived everybody. And it has hurt my children because the media has torn all of my children apart, okay? Because they say, Grandma knows, Grandma isn't on it, Grandma doesn't know nothing. If I had known what was going on, I would have take my daughter out of there forcefully, or I would have called the police. My sons would have come and got her, okay? Never did we ever knew anything. If I had known when I called social service when Rebecca moved in, I called social service to let them know that I didn't like him. That because my granddaughter Irene was afraid. She didn't want to be there. She called me and she says, Grandma, I don't want to be there. Okay, so I called social service. I asked social service to give me a report of what had happened, what they found out. Oh no, she's fine. The house is beautiful. They have food in the fridge. That's it. Had social service come and told me what he had done to promise these other children, nothing of this would be here. We wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. My grandchildren, Emmanuel wouldn't be gone. Mackenzie wouldn't have been born because he had already done a lot of horrible things to his other children. He branded those children for life. And in the same way, branded all my children too. Because I can't go nowhere without they asking me. Every time I go to the store or somebody recognizes me, they attack me, you know, on social media, everywhere. And that is not my doing or my children. This has been horrible for us. I was glad the day that got arrested because I fear for my daughter's life. I fear for everybody. And, you know, he had a second chance. My daughter didn't have a chance with him. Or his children. His children didn't have a second chance. And I think the judge that let him go should be here sitting with him. And so is social service. Because they could have told me, oh no, protocol doesn't allow us to tell you anything. Well, how are we supposed to protect our children if we don't know? The court knows what's going on. I didn't know. I called social service. I didn't know what he had done to his other children. And here he sits, you know, like nothing. Somebody will give him another
Great grandma.
chance.
She didn't know nothing.
And I don't want that. Because he didn't give his children a chance. He didn't give my daughter a chance to be happy to.
How does she not know about his past? I don't know.
My 20-year-old granddaughter, my 18-year-old granddaughter are a mess because of him. Mackenzie, it's totally changed. A little baby, a 2-year-old girl that has nothing, okay? I'm very, very stressed out, very angry at the justice system for letting this guy, giving him a chance. Who gave my grandchildren a chance, a second chance? Did CPS check? Why didn't they tell me? Oh look, this is what that guy does. He takes it out on the children, on the babies. He can't
Did she say that fat guy?
do it to a
Oh my
grown
God.
person. He's not man enough to do it to a man, okay? He destroys so many lives. His mom, his brother, everybody, okay? Nobody wants to be here. Nobody wanted to come and look at it.
Except you.
But I have to speak for my grandson and my grandchildren, and for my children too, because they're going through every hell in this world, okay?
Thank you, Mom.
I didn't mourn my grandson that he passed away. We buried him on the 5th of August, and they were saying that, oh, we probably bury Emmanuel in my grandson's, when we bury my grandson, okay? I lost my grandson on the 5th. We buried my grandson on the 5th of August. Then he called
She
me
lost her
on the 4th of August
grandson.
and said that Emmanuel is kidnapped. And then my sister passes on the 17th of August. We didn't have a chance to mourn any of my sister, my grandson, my other grandson, none. Because everybody was angry at everybody because how could this happen? Why? I wish you could look at me and tell me why. He was never in my house. He knew I didn't like him. He knew I called social service, and that's why he kept my daughter away. He changed her so she couldn't have no contact with me or his brothers, okay? Had I had not had a stroke, I would have never met McKinsey or, probably heard it on the news about Emmanuel, okay? So don't blame my children. The media has blamed my children, everybody. The TikTokers, everybody. Grandma Mary knows. I don't know nothing, okay? And I stand here with you, asking you to give him the maximum. Because I don't want him to give him another chance. He didn't give nobody a chance. He had many chances. He had a chance. The judge gave him a second chance. The probation gave him another chance. The CPS, oh well, no, he's fine. He's got food in the fridge and the house is clean. That doesn't cut it, okay? And that's not fair to the children to let somebody out like that. And I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm just very, very upset and very stressed out.
And ma'am, no need to apologize. This proceeding here is for you to make your impact statement to talk about how the crime has affected you and your family. I do want to lead with, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for all the hurt that you and your family have gone through.
A lot of hurt.
And I want to thank you for being here today.
I'm here because I'm the only one that wanted to be here because my children don't trust themselves to come in and talk because they're so upset, so angry at this system, what they did. How could they give him a second chance when you see the pictures of the little girl? How? That's beyond me. You get two drunk driving tickets and you go to jail or you pay a goddamn fine. And he, a slap on the hand, go and do community work, okay? How does that happen, Your Honor? I want to know how did that happen.
Anything else, ma'am?
No. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, Mr. Robinson, any other impact statements on behalf of the people?
No, thank you.
Ms. Garthwaite, Ms. Lowe, no impact statements on behalf of the defense?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
And submitting on your motion?
Yes.
Submitting on your motion?
Yes.
So the court is now going to pronounce judgment at this time. Ms. Lowe, Ms. Garthwaite, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Smith, are you okay if I sentence on all three together, all three cases?
Yes.
Yes.
This time, this court, having taken the defendant's plea, having read and considered the probation report, and having seen, heard, and considered the evidence and arguments arguments of counsel at the sentencing hearing, as well as taking judicial notice of its own records, hereby pronounces the sentence as described in this order. The court imposes an aggregate sentence of 180 days and 6 years, 8 months, plus 25 years to life, and fines as specified. As I will explain shortly, the sentence of 180 days and 6 years and 8 months will be determinate. The 25 years to life is indeterminate and will be described at this time. Probation is denied. Because Mr. Haro was on probation for
to life, guys.
at the time he committed
He's
serious
gone.
and violent offenses of murder and assault on a child under 8 causing death.
I thought they said a maximum of 25 years, but judge upped it.
Accordingly, probation is
Must have.
denied. In regards to the terms of imprisonment, this case involves the imposition of determinate terms and indeterminate terms. The court will first address the indeterminate terms. I did read the briefing submitted by Ms. Lowe and Ms. Garthwaite, as well as by Mr. Smith and Mr. Robinson. For count 1, in case FERI 2504-808-1, murder in the second degree, the court imposes the only term provided by law of 15 years to life. The court notes that the amended complaint filed by the people lists the punishment for count 1 as 25 to life, which would suggest that the charge is first-degree murder, but we did have a discussion at the last hearing regarding those sentence or that charge, and that is in the second degree. So I want to make sure that that's clear, Mr. Smith and Ms. Lowe.
Yes, Your Honor.
Accordingly, the court orders the designation of the 25 to life stricken from the amended complaint. For count 3, in case FERI 2504-808-1, assault on a child under 8 causing death, the court imposes the only term provided by law of 25 years to life. The court finds that counts 1 and 3, in case ending in 808-1, are based on the same act. An act or omission that is punishable in different ways by different provisions of law may be punished under either of such provisions, but in no case shall the act or omission be punished under more than one provision. Accordingly, the court stays the punishment for count 1, the murder charge, pursuant to section 654. The court declines to stay the punishment for count 3 instead of count 1, pursuant to section 654. Mr. Haro, through his attorneys, urges the court to stay the higher punishment because he acknowledged wrongdoing and pled guilty at an early stage of the criminal process, which is a mitigating factor under the rules of court. And the court does not find this to be a compelling reason to select the 15-year to life term in lieu of the 25-year to life term. While Mr. Haro did plead guilty at an early stage in the proceedings, this does not outweigh the significant and considerable aggravating factors that he has admitted to. It cannot be ignored that Mr. Haro was on probation for severely abusing one child when he decided to assault and kill another child. Further, the court notes that Mr. Haro was out on bail in 2 cases, including one for abusing his daughter when he killed baby Emmanuel. And the fact that Mr. Haro pled guilty at an early stage, while not insignificant, cannot overcome the horrific nature of the circumstances here. Given the admissions Mr. Haro himself has made with respect to the aggravating factors, accordingly, I will impose the indeterminate term of 25 years to life. Mr. Haro has also been convicted of 3 felony charges with determinate sentences. The court selects the child abuse charge, the 273A from case BAF 2101265-2 to be the principal offense. The court orders executed the previously imposed term of 6 years, which is the upper term. As will be explained, the court orders the determinate punishments to run consecutively to the punishment imposed in felony case ending in 808-1. In case BAF 2400717, Mr. Haro has pled guilty to being a felon in possession of a firearm pursuant to Penal Code Section 29800 and ammunition under Penal Code Section 3305. These offenses are based on his possession of a loaded firearm, which is a single act. Accordingly, the court stays punishment for count 2, the possession of ammunition charge pursuant to Section 654. For the firearm possession charge in count 1, I will impose a subordinate term of 8 months, which is 1/3 of the midterm, to run consecutively to the principal term. When determining whether to impose consecutive or concurrent sentences, the rules of court provide several factors for the court to consider. The factors related to the crime include whether or not, 1, the crimes and their objectives were predominantly independent of each other. 2, the crimes involved separate acts or threats of violence. Or 3, the crimes were committed at different times or separate places, rather than being committed so closely in time and place as to indicate a single period of terrible behavior. The court may also consider any aggravating or mitigating circumstances in deciding whether to impose concurrent or consecutive sentences, except that the court may not impose a consecutive sentence based on 1, a fact used to impose the upper term, or 2, a fact used to otherwise enhance the defendant's sentence, and 3, a fact that is an element of the crime. The consecutive punishments are appropriate here because the crimes and their objectives were independent of each other, involved separate acts, and were committed at different times, indeed over the course of many years. Accordingly, the court imposes all felony punishments to run consecutively to each other. Mr. Haro has also pled guilty to a misdemeanor offense of filing a false police report in count 2 in felony case ending 808. For this misdemeanor offense, the court imposes a term of 180 days to be served in any penal institution. Having imposed the terms as explained, the court hereby imposes an aggregate term of 180 days and 6 years, 8 months, plus 25 years to life in state prison. I do want to touch on my discretion in case there was any question. Looking back on this in the future, were the voters or the legislature to amend any statutes, or were there to be any decisional law in the future that would grant this court any additional discretion in sentencing and which might benefit Mr. Haro, this court would decline to exercise any such additional discretion to lower or mitigate Mr. Haro's sentence. The court has weighed and balanced all the aggravating and mitigating factors in this case and considered all circumstances such that the court believes the current sentence is just and appropriate. Mr. Haro's conduct and culpability in the offense against his own children lead the court to conclude that Mr. Haro's sentence today is fully justified without future downward modification, even should the legislature provide such discretion. In regards to the fines, the court will impose a restitution fine of $10,000. The court finds the maximum fine is appropriate given the number of felonies the defendant was convicted of and the number of years he is being ordered to serve. The court imposes the parole revocation restitution fine in the amount of $10,000 as well. This fine is stayed unless and until parole is revoked. I will impose the court security fees as well as the penalties. The court additionally imposes the state penalty of $10 for every $10 or part of $10 upon every fine imposed. The state penalty assessment of 20% of the base fine, the court operations assessment of $40 for each conviction, and the court facilities assessment of $30 for each conviction. Ms. Lowe, I will take note of your request under Duenas. And at this time, those fines and fees will be imposed, but stay the execution pursuant to Duenas. In regards to restitution, the court orders victim restitution to be paid in any amount that may be determined in the future. Mr. Haro is also ordered to pay interest at a rate of 10% per annum accrued accruing as of October 12th of 2018 in case BAF ending 265, as of July 27th, 2024 in BAF ending in 717, and as of August 14th, 2025 in felony case ending in 808-1. Mr. Haro is hereby advised the restitution orders shall be enforceable as if they were civil judgments. Mr. Haro, I'm going to advise you of the following at this time. You are advised of your right to appeal. The notice of appeal must be filed within 60 days after the rendition of the judgment or the making of the order being appealed. You are also advised that if you are indigent, you are entitled to appointment of counsel upon request. Sir, I'm also advising you of your requirement to provide buccal swab samples, right thumbprints, and a full palm print impression of each hand and any blood specimens or other biological samples. Sir, also advising you that as a result of these convictions, you are prohibited from owning, purchasing, receiving, possessing, or having under your custody or control any firearms, ammunition, or body armor. You are also ordered to relinquish any firearms. Sir, I'm advising you, and I went over this at your plea, that if you are not a citizen of the United States, these convictions will have the consequence of deportation, exclusion from admission to the United States, and denial of naturalization pursuant to federal law. You're also advised that at the expiration of the term of imprisonment here imposed, you may be released on parole unless the Board of Prison Terms waives parole for good cause. If parole is granted, the period of parole shall be for 3 years. Now, sir, going over your credits, and Ms. Lowe, Ms. Garthwaite, Mr. Smith, Mr. Robinson, I believe we went over these this morning, but just want to make sure that I have the correct credits. Sir, in BAF, case ending in 017, you have credits of 72 plus 72 for a total of 144 days. Mr. Smith, Ms. Lowe, Ms. Garthwaite, do you agree?
Yes. Yes.
In case ending in 265, your banning case, you have credits for 167 days actual plus 166 days 4019 for a total of 333.
Yes.
Yes.
And lastly, sir, in the case, your newest case, ending in 808, your Riverside case, you have credits of 74 days actual plus 0 days good time credit for a total of 74 days.
Yes.
So to reiterate the final disposition, Mr. Haro, you are hereby sentenced to serve 180 days and 6 years, 8 months to terminate. You are ordered to serve 25 years to life in the state prison for the child abuse perpetrated against CH, for unlawfully possessing a firearm and ammunition after having been convicted of such a heinous crime, and for the senseless assault and murder of baby Emmanuel. While no sentence can possibly vindicate the loss of innocence and life at the hands of Mr. Haro, the man who was supposed to protect these precious and defenseless children against evil and harm, the sentence here is the most the court can do to ensure that as much justice is done as possible. To that end, the court imposes the aforementioned terms of imprisonment, fines, and penalties and assessments, and I will be filing a written order of today's sentence. Anything else at this time before I sentence him or order him transported forthwith? Ms. Lowe or Ms. Garthwaite?
No, thank you, Your Honor. I have a point of clarification, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just wanted to inquire, it's my understanding that the court did impose the $10,000 restitution fine that stayed that person continuous?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Robinson?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, Mr. Haro, I am going to order that you are transported forthwith by the Department of Corrections for housing in the state prison. And Ms. Lowe, Ms. Garthwaite, before you leave, there was an issue that we had kicked over to today's date in regards to the violation of probation and the subpoenaed documents. Mr. Robinson, Mr. Smith, Ms. Lowe, Ms. Garthwaite, how would you like to proceed with those documents?
It's my request that that be put over to the January 21st FSC date. I did tell defense counsel for Mr. Haro that I would notify them. I'd like to address who has standing to object to those on that particular date.
Anytime that third-party documents are subpoenaed to the court, there's a procedure where the court has to determine if there's good cause and conduct an in-camera hearing, and that's with or without an objection. But I already did object to the release and asked that the court follow that process of the last court proceeding. If the court would like me here in January to make that same record, I'm happy to do so.
So you made the record. It was my understanding that there might be a request that those documents were not needed. So we'll continue the matter to January 21st. I'll note your objection. In between now and then, I'll review the documents for materiality. Mr. Smith, if you can let me know if you plan to continue to use those documents. If you're not going to use the documents, then I will not review them and we'll keep them downstairs. But if they are going to be released, I will review them for materiality.
Based on my limited understanding of what's in those documents, I do believe it's possible. I would like to use them, so I asked the court to review them.
Okay, so I'll review them by the next court date, and then Ms. Lowe and Mr. Smith will have further conversations, and we'll figure out, Ms. Lowe, if it's necessary for you to appear on that January 21st date, as well as you, Ms. Garthwaite. Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Haro has some paperwork to take back with him. And so we want to make sure, I don't think that we ever made an order that he could have paperwork transported back and forth.
I'll make an order that he be allowed to transport his legal paperwork to and from court.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, court in recess now. Can I have a step outside, please?
Cameron?
He gone. Hi, Dan. Hi, everybody. Well, he's gone. They said it was a maximum, which I thought a maximum of 25 years, but guys, he's gone away. He's gone away for life, and without even saying a word, keeping his mouth shut. Keeping his mouth shut. Now, like I said, his co-defendant, Rebecca Haro, the mother, she was in court today for a hearing, and she pled not guilty. What a disgusting mother. How is she pleading not guilty? She's the one that made up the story. She's the one that made up the story. She may not have done it, but she knew what was happening. She's got as much involvement in the disappearance as her child as he does. She saw it, she did nothing since it started happening. And then blamed the Spanish guy for kidnapping her baby, which it was him, Jake. It was Jake. Jake gave her the black eye. Jake took the baby. Who knows what they did with this baby? And she's pled not guilty. Like to see what her defense is going to be. Would you like to see that? I can't wait. So we'll just get back to the trial, guys. Get back to the trial. Anyway, Dan, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. If you don't mind, just pressing the like. Let's get back to this trial here in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Matthew Pahl. the disappearance of his long time girlfriend, mother of his child, but he says that he may not be the father. His brother might be. He lies about that, doesn't he? He even has to lie about that. Now, of course, Matthew had women on the go because he's such a hottie. He even said Stephanie didn't even live with him. Okay, where did she live then? She didn't live with her mother. Her mother said she lived with him. What a loser. What a loser.
For your business?
It's
This
private
is where we
consulting. It's
left
usually
off
people
earlier.
will, or handlers will call, or they will email me with the training problem they have, and they need a solution. And so I will ask them what's their issue, and it's usually a behavioral problem. A lot of times their dog is come up, you know, their dog starts off strongly in training, and they're doing very well. And then after a certain amount of time, it's either their dog has an inconsistent alert, or it stopped performing as well as it had before. And then it becomes a diagnostic issue behaviorally. Okay, what's changed in training or at home or in their lifestyle that maybe is the problem? And then we try to figure it out. It's a problem solving.
Okay, so what's your method of trying to fix the problem?
So usually, if it's in person or it could even be virtual, I'll have them send me a video of just a general training, put out a scent source, and just show me what it looks like or tell me about it. And they'll do that, and I can tell a lot just from their description of what's happening or from being able to see it. In person, it's the same way. And then I also have, from my research, being able to figure this out, a series of exercises that can help pinpoint if there's a suspected issue. For example, a lot of dogs will track each other or handlers to the source because they will try to figure out the easiest way to get to their reward. And sometimes that is tracking each other or other people to the source. Because what happens when we're training is we go hide something for them. And we leave a scent trail behind us. Or if it's multiple dogs that are training behind each other on the same scent source that one person put out, well, the dogs get pretty good at figuring out they can just follow each other to that same hide. And they'll just do that. So what I'll like to do, because it works a lot, is figuring out if a dog is just alerting where other dogs have been, is I'll have a negative search area, which means there's nothing in there, there's no scent source, and I'll walk a dog into that negative search area, put it into a sit for 30 seconds to a minute, and then walk out the same way I walked in. And that is, you now have a negative search area, there's no source there. And then I will take that dog that we're trying to figure out, you know, what the problem here is, if it's got an issue with false alerts, and the handler is blind to the search, which means they don't know if I put something there or not. But then they'll deploy the dog as if this is just a regular training exercise. And if that dog follows the trail that I walked and alerts where I put that dog into a sit, I know we have a false alert problem with that dog. So that's one way to diagnose a false alert problem. And there are ways to fix it. It just takes time. So that's one example.
Okay. You said you currently, I'm going to show you what's, just for the witness, Exhibit 611, Defense Exhibit 611. Tell me when you can see that. Let's go through it. And we'll scroll through it real quick. And can you tell, Ms. Pescador, can you tell me what Exhibit 611 is?
It looks like my CV. You're scrolling through it.
Okay. You're under permission to publish this to the jury.
Can I just consult with Attorney Wolf for
Yes.
1 second, Your Honor? No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, 611 is admitted and you may publish.
Okay, go down to the bottom. Just be polite. Ms. Pescador, just for some clarification, I'm going to just show you the bottom of page 1. It says page 23 of 30, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and this was just at the end of your of a report that you provided to me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this is 8 pages, correct?
Yes.
So it's basically pages 23 of 30 of that report. There wasn't more CV in front of this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you can just go back. Okay, and what is it? What did you prepare this CV did you prepare this CV in preparation for this trial?
I actually prepared this for another job as well. So I was updating my CV, and I also included it for this trial.
Okay, and just again, this is the first trial you've actually testified at, correct?
Yes.
Have you participated in other investigations, law enforcement investigations?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know approximately how many?
Like, you want me to give you a rough estimate?
You can give me a rough estimate on that one.
25.
Okay. And so, in addition to your bachelor in science at Southern Mississippi, what other education do you have?
I've taken lots of training classes. A lot of there's FEMA and there's TEACS, which is Texas Engineering Extension Service. A lot of those are computer-based training.
What's the CITI program?
City program those are courses I was required to take in order to conduct the research that I did at USM, which is the University of Southern Mississippi, because of the type of research that I engaged in, and that included several projects besides my thesis. It involved both animal subjects research with the dogs, and it did not actually require the human research subjects because I did not involve living human subjects, but I still wanted to take that course. I volunteered to take it because even though it didn't involve living human subjects with the cadaver tissue, it covered things like institutional oversight for ethics and personal privacy, data control, and respect for human biological material, things that I felt were still a priority, things that I wanted to prioritize and be informed about, and informed consent was part of that. So I elected to take that course. Okay. The animal research subjects was required and involved animal welfare and care.
Okay, it says 2021 to the present. Are you still taking classes under that program?
No, but my certification is still valid.
When you say what do you mean certification?
The city program, when I completed it, it came with a certification for that training.
Okay. You mentioned TEACS. Again, what does that stand for?
The Texas Engineering Extension Service.
Okay, and that's an extension of what university?
Texas A&M.
And what exactly have you learned through those programs?
So those are more about the USNR, so that's more disaster-based search and recovery, search and rescue in a disaster scenario, which is not really something that I'm focused on, but is still useful technical information to know.
Okay. Have you been called out on search and rescues?
On search and rescue, yes, but I do not respond to disasters.
You've also done, it appears, some work directly under FEMA, is that right?
That is training classes. So I've not worked for FEMA, to clarify.
Okay. Can you briefly describe your research, some of the research and special projects that you've been engaged in? So the first one, comparative profile analysis of human decomposition odor, is one that is still I'm still completing that one. It is not complete. And that is just an analyzing odor comparison of human decomposition odor from different tissues and different individuals. And the basis of that one is coming off of my thesis research. And that one was the canine scent discrimination of human remains. And the basis of that research, just to go off of that, was to determine if a cadaver dog can discriminate between different individuals after they die. Because the scientific consensus at the time was that once we die, we all smell the same and the dog can't tell the difference. So my thesis essentially was to determine if a dog can tell the difference, if they can be individual specific, and I was able to determine that they can. How did you do that?
It was a very involved project, and essentially I took specimens from different cadaveric donors, and I don't want to use grotesque language, but from the same cadaveric donor, I had multiple specimens, and I had multiple donors. So I had those out in a search area, and from one cadaveric donor, I have a specimen, and I was able to train the dog to recognize one donor. And I asked the dog to please find other samples or other specimens from this individual in the search area. Tell me which samples in the search area match this individual, and basically put them back together again. So if in a mass casualty setting, in a mass graves situation, would it be possible to use a dog as a preliminary screening tool to very quickly collect casualties and help put them back together, to match them back up? Because in those scenarios, DNA testing might be prohibitively expensive, very time-consuming, or inaccessible. This was a pilot study. It's not something that is readily operationally available, and it requires further research in order for that to be possible. So those are two examples of research I've completed.
Okay. Do you know approximately how many presentations you've given to organizations?
Several.
Can you give me an example of 2 presentations that you've given to national organizations?
Okay. The canine scent discrimination of human remains is one that I've given several presentations on. It's one that I've gotten awarded on, or at least was well received. False alert is one that I've received good feedback on. It's a problem a lot of handlers want to receive information about.
Who have you given those presentations to?
Seminars. I'm asking.
What organizations? You said seminars. Who was providing those seminars, or who organized those seminars?
North Star International Canine Training Association.
Okay. For both of those?
Yes.
Okay. Have you done any training at governmental facilities?
Yes.
What have you done there?
What have I done there?
What did you do? What training or presentation did you give?
Okay, so that's in-person training. The facility was Muscatatuck Atterbury Urban Training Center.
Okay, so you need to spell that.
Okay. Muscatatuck, well, it'd be easier to MUTC. I can't recall how to spell Muscatatuck.
Okay, I'll get it for the court reporter afterward.
Thank you. It's in Indiana. It's the Department of Defense's largest scenario-based training facility.
Okay, and what did you do there?
I hosted a week-long, or not hosted, but I was an instructor and evaluator for a week-long cadaver dog seminar, which included certification testing for handlers that came from all over the United States.
When you say certification, what agency provided that certification?
That was for North Star International Canine Training Association.
While you're pausing, Muscatatuck is M-U-S-C-A-T-A-T-U-C-K. Not that I knew, I Googled it.
Thank you.
Don't worry, I didn't have any impression that anybody thought I was smart. So.
6:50. Okay, if you could take down the screen. I'm learning. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 613. Let me know when that's on your screen.
It says no signal.
There we go. It should come up.
Okay.
Okay. We'll scroll through that really quick. Can you tell me what that document is?
It is a document of acronyms.
Okay. We're going to talk, and we're going to talk a little bit about certain organizations. And this is something you're familiar with, and it helps explain it helps describe these acronyms, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not going to be any earth-shattering regarding this specific case,
No.
but it's going to help explain a lot of things that you're going to talk about next, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go, if we could, Your Honor, if you could indulge me and let me go through these acronyms with her, and I'd ask to publish this to the jury.
Go ahead. Any objection to that?
No objection.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we learned that Deputy Willis with the Racine County Sheriff's Department is a member of the NNDDA. What do you know about the NNDDA?
It is a national certifying organization for multiple detection dog disciplines.
Okay, and you're familiar with that organization?
I'm familiar with it.
Have you ever worked with with members of that organization?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. What about NIST?
Yes, I'm familiar with NIST.
Okay. I know we've had other experts testify about it. What is the National Institute of Standards and Technology?
It's a federal agency.
What is another federal agency, but what are they charged with?
They're charged with developing standards for all kinds of things, including forensic sciences.
Okay. So when we had the individuals from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab talk about how they come up with comparisons?
Yes.
Wait for my question.
Sorry.
They would follow certain NIST standards, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What about the next, what is OSAC?
So OSAC is Organizations of Scientific Area Committees, and they're under NIST. So NIST is responsible for overseeing OSAC, and OSAC is composed of different subcommittees which are charged with developing the specific standards for the different areas of forensic science. And those are usually developed from working groups. So you have under OSAC, SWIG-DOG is the short name for it, the Scientific Working Group of Dog and Orthogonal Detector Guidelines, which is a mouthful, and we're going to call it SWIG-DOG if that's okay.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, we heard, I believe it was a deputy detective, and for the jury it was Detective Schrader. He said he follows the Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence.
Yes.
So that would be another subgroup under OSAC?
Yes.
Okay, and specifically what's the product, or why did SWIG-DOG, or what do they do? What did they do?
So all of these working groups, they help develop the standards that are adopted under OSAC. If there needs to be standards developed, it usually starts with a working group for different areas of forensic science. So if a question needs to be answered about developing standards, it usually starts with the working group, whether it be for digital evidence or dog evidence, and then those get developed into a subcommittee under OSAC.
Okay.
So with dogs and sensors, that's the subcommittee under OSAC, which develops the standards for forensic dog evidence.
Okay, and so just so I'm clear, NIST doesn't develop standards, it's OSAC that does, correct?
NIST is the federal agency that publishes the standards and is in control of the development for them,
Okay.
essentially.
So so OSAC is kind of under NIST, or is under NIST?
Yes.
Okay, just so I'm clear. And then we heard from several experts, including crime lab people, and they were a member of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. What is that?
It is a professional membership organization of forensic science.
Okay, did they set standards?
No.
Okay, what's the American Standards Board then?
So the American Academy of Forensic Science established the American Academy of Forensic Science Academy Standards Board, which is an SDO, standards development organization.
Okay,
so,
when you say SDO, what is SDO?
Standards development organization.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so what do they do?
So they do separately develop standards, and it does get kind of confusing because they do cross-publish from OSAC, and they also at the same time develop forensic standards like I said, it can be kind of confusing. But American Academy of Forensic Science, and then there's the American Academy of Forensic Science Academy Standards Board. Two
Okay.
separate organizations, but related.
Okay. And then just some terms we've heard in during dog searches and things. HRD, what does that stand for?
Human remains detection.
Okay, so when you talk about HRD canine, that's a canine who does human remains detection.
Yes.
Okay. And then COB, we've heard a little bit about that. That again, can you explain what that is?
It's a change of behavior.
Okay, can you explain a little bit more about what you believe that is?
So whenever the dog does its searching and there's a difference in its behavior that the handler recognizes as being associated with detecting its target odor, and whether that be characteristic head snap or its tail starts wagging, and it is something that is consistent with the dog recognizing its target odor it's been trained to find.
Okay. And then VOC.
Volatile organic compounds. These are the odors that the dog is trained to find.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Again, we're going to be talking about those a little bit more as we go through this. You had a chance to review Detective or Deputy Willis's qualifications, correct?
Yes.
And you went through, what did you, is that a part of, when conducting an evaluation, is it important to know the handler's background?
Yes.
Okay, why is that?
So that you understand the context and training and preparation that the handler's had with his dog?
Okay, if you're doing an evaluation, do you normally review training logs?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been, I just want to make sure I get the number right. It has been marked as Defense Exhibit 604. Actually, strike that. You looked over, so again, you looked over Deputy Willis's training log, correct?
Yes.
And you looked over his training summary?
Yes.
That talked about the blind accuracy, correct?
Yes.
And then you looked over his training notes, correct?
Yes.
In reviewing that documentation, what conclusions did you reach?
The training notes, the time logged in the training notes and then the time documented in the log, these were different documents, were not the same.
Okay. What is the what do you believe is the standard for how often a handler should be training a dog?
So there are a few different standards, whether it is cadaver dog or human remains detection dog standard for maintenance training, but they are consistent with 16 hours of maintenance training per month, which is on average about 4 hours per week to train your dog to maintain the performance that it's at.
Okay, where does that standard come from?
It's multiple different standards, but SWIG dog is one of them, one of the standards we talked about before. And it's also referenced in some court precedents, which gives it some priority as far as its importance.
Okay, explain what should, so 16 hours a month?
Yes.
Okay, and what should be done during those 16? Can you give us some examples of what should be done during those 16 hours?
Yes.
Is that just walking the dog? Is it playing fetch? What is it?
So this is going to be actual training time with the handler and the dog, and this could be actual training with the odor. It could be rewarding the dog. So a lot of this is called the reward system, and it's getting the dog actually interested in the reward you're going to be using, whether that's a toy, whether it's treats or petting and praise. This could be search time. There's a lot of different things that you could be working on with your dog, but whatever it is in the context of odor search training, it's actual time between the handler and the dog. It might be easier to explain what it's not. It's not the dog waiting in the crate while you set up and break down search scenarios. It's not waiting for your turn. It's not driving to and from search training.
I just thought, so it's not just nose time. I think we heard the term nose time from
Right.
Deputy Willis. Nose time would be doing an actual search, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but it's more than that. It's more face, I guess we could probably say it includes face time as well. In other words, the dog interacting directly with the handler.
Right.
In a training scenario.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't include time at home or anything like that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In reviewing Deputy Willis's training logs and his training notes, I'm going to show you. Let's go back up. I'm not going to publish.
Okay.
I'm going to show you your Defense Exhibit number 12. Yep. Yes. 612. That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, and then scroll down. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Pescador, tell me when you see that on the screen.
Yes.
And we'll scroll through it. It's 31 pages, though, correct?
Correct.
And I believe that includes your CV. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. We'll scroll through real quickly. We'll go through this. But can you tell me what that is?
This is my report.
Okay. So what else, in preparing for this report, what else and this is you looked at the canine search that was done by Detective Willis, correct?
Correct.
And you looked at the police reports and you looked at a whole bunch of sources and then put this report together, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And again, part of this report was you focused on the training that was done by Deputy Willis specifically.
That was part of it.
Okay. you went through some, you analyzed some of the specific training that he went through, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but part of your report focused on basically just the time he spent.
Yes.
And this was what's considered maintenance training, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'm showing you what is basically table 1 of your report, correct?
Correct.
And again, it's did Deputy, are you aware that Deputy Willis had some training standard that he was following?
Yes.
And what was that?
Well, let me correct that. I understand that he was using information from his mentor, Karen Corcoran, and he cited a 90% accuracy rate, blind accuracy rate figure.
Okay, were there standards on the amount of time he should be training with the dog?
I don't recall him citing any standard he was using.
Okay. Did he cite any goal that he had for trying to get a certain number of hours for training?
Not that I recall.
Okay. But basically, your understanding, according to, I got to get the acronym right, SWIGDOG, which is under the Organization of Scientific Area Committees, your understanding was 16 hours, correct?
Yes.
So you took that standard and then you reviewed his training log and his notes, correct?
Correct.
And is this table an accurate reflection of your analysis?
Yes.
Okay. So you can publish this to the
Yes.
jury? Okay. I'd ask if we could publish this table to the jury.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Again, Ms. Pescador, this is the table that you put together after analyzing Deputy Willis's training, correct?
Yes.
And what did you know? And this was, you didn't go back, he said he had the dog certified back to, I believe it was 2000, correct? It was longer than this, correct?
Yes.
But you only had information regarding the year that led up to the search involved in this incident, correct?
Yes, he had, this table included data from his log that was not in his notes. So I did not have all of the data I couldn't make a comprehensive picture. So a lot of it I had to rely on what he put in there.
Right.
So I couldn't make a comparison. And some of the data in here, for example, the audited hours might be the same as the logged minutes. And I left it that way because if it is what it is, then I'm not changing anything. I'm not adding or subtracting.
Okay, so in other words, you always gave him the benefit of the doubt. If there was a higher number, you used it.
Correct.
And if you had nothing to lower a number, you didn't lower the number.
Correct.
Okay, so when you give audited minutes or audited hours, those are only, again, you're the person who audited them, correct?
Correct.
And again, you only lowered them if you had specific information that allowed you to change it.
If he put something different, then I put what he put there, yes.
Okay. I guess to clear this up, so if his training log said a certain number of hours, but then his training notes said less, you put in the lower amount.
Correct.
But if there was nothing to refute it, you just kept the higher number.
Yes.
Okay. So again, this chart would err on the side of granting him more hours depending on the information.
Yes.
Okay. So can you give me an example of what you discovered when you were reviewing all his training logs and notes?
That his contemporaneous notes, the ones that he hand wrote, tended to have less hours than the exhibit numbers are different than the ones that I was provided for this than the ones that are here now.
Okay. For example, in October of 2021, that's one of the higher ones. Can you tell me how many hours, according to what you observed, how many hours he put in training the dog?
Oh, okay. So generally, the hours that he logged were much higher than what I audited.
Okay. But for example, let's go to February of 2022. Okay, you didn't audit any hours, correct?
Right.
And how many hours did he train the dog in that particular case?
So 8 hours.
Okay. And that was the highest one out of all the months that you reviewed?
Correct.
Okay. What about April of 2022?
In April of 2022, he did not conduct any training.
Okay. After February, were any amounts more than 8 hours?
No. So there were no months where he achieved 16 hours of training.
And 8 hours was the most that he had in that time period?
Correct.
Okay. What's important about what you see in this training log?
The most important thing of this was that there were no months where he achieved the minimum 16 hours of training, and there was really no consistency as well.
What do you mean by consistency?
That the 16-hour minimum standard, if you look month over month, it varied so much. It varied a lot. So this also signs inconsistency of training, of maintenance training.
So is cadaver dog training, isn't it something where I could just get 20 hours in 1 month and then not have to do it again for 6?
No, it's a perishable skill.
Okay, explain that.
It means that if the dog does not receive consistent training, it can forget. It can start relying on other cues and clues to try to get to where it needs to go to get its reward. In the search context, if it does not receive consistent training, then it's going to start to look for other cues and clues in that situation that are more consistent and reliable. So if it's not exposed to its target odor consistently enough, it's going to look for something else that is more consistent in that search setting or context that it can rely on.
And what could that something different be?
It could be its handler. It could be anything else that is more consistent, but more likely handler cues, which could be nonverbal or verbal, body movements, or contextual.
Your Honor, I'm going to get into the actual search itself. I don't know if the court, which will take a while, I don't know if the court wants to stop now or keep going. You want me to keep? I'm fine.
No, I want to stop now.
Okay.
Right. So it is 4:34. We've had a long day, folks, and I appreciate, again, your attentiveness. And let's come back. Have anything tomorrow, Mackenzie, right in the morning? And we'll start up again at 8:30. Okay? So follow the instructions. And again, don't look at anything. Don't Google anything like I did for that name of that city. Don't try to find out about anybody here, please. And let's preserve the integrity of the trial process. Okay? Follow my instructions, please. Thank you.
All right.
For something we don't have to apologize. Thank you for that, Mr. Wolf. Sorry, have a seat, everybody. All 14 jurors have left. Man, you can step down. You can sit back there if you'd like, okay? Thank you. You bet. But of course, they're going to expect you to come back tomorrow. Okay? All right. So, anything before we break from the state?
No, Judge.
Anything, Mr. Wolf?
Your Honor, there may be an issue, and it's something Attorney Opper and I are working out about the publishing of the entire report. So if I can either provide a copy of what's on the screen right now and call it maybe 612A, and that way we know that for sure that's coming in, but we can deal with the rest of the report down the road.
I see that probably because the term expert is frequently in there. Is that the problem?
I thought it was taken out. Which one do you have? That might be your old report.
Expert witness report. I'm looking on page 11 of 30.
Correct. That's not what the word expert has been removed.
Okay, all right.
But I'm not.
I'll let you work on it. Okay, all right.
Yes, it's a different. We had a change based on the court ruling that we had about a month ago.
I mean, the content of the report is generally no problem. I always am concerned, even in the instructions that it says expert witnesses. I always take that out.
Understood.
All right. Anything else?
No, I just asked if it can still be captured, that we capture that and designate it as Exhibit 612A.
All right, we'll do that then, sir.
And then that be admitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on a second.
It's still plugged in. Oh, Pablo, it's plugged in.
Yes.
That's it.
That's the training chart then for critique of it, correct? Right this.
Correct. Yes,
okay.
that exactly.
612A.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right.
I just wanted to inquire about timing. If this is the defense's last witness, would this court intend to go to closings tomorrow and jury instructions, or does the court have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. Mr. Wolf,
Your Honor, we'll have the necessary conversation with our client, and if he's able to make a decision, we'll let the court know in the morning.
So, if this is the last witness, Ms. Pescador, if she is the last witness, then, and if Mr. Pahl does not testify, then I expect that we would finish up. We're working on the final instructions. They seem to be pretty straightforward from the parties. You did what? You have it there. Yeah. We have a very rough draft, and we can give copies to the parties or send it to the parties. Right? Again, very rough. It's just what you've given me, more or less. Okay. And then we would take a break if we finish with this witness, and if this witness is the last witness. And then I would expect you could perhaps be able to close it in the afternoon. All right? It depends. And did you want a copy of the special instruction 28 about testifying or not testifying, Mr. Wolf?
Yes, if you could just put it in the, and again, we'll make a final decision when.
I'll give it to you. I'll give you a copy of it. Again, I'm just referencing the standard special material, number 28. We'll give you a copy, Mr. Wolf, okay? Thank you. All right. Anything else from the state?
No.
Defense? Mr. Wolf, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, something. Can we get in a little bit early so we can discuss the testimony, whether he's going to testify tomorrow or not? Like 8:15?
Give me 1 second.
How much time does he want? He's got all evening and everything to decide. Oh, just trying to stall it, guys. Trying to stall it. And that is it, guys. Thanks for stopping by. See you tomorrow. Woo-hoo-hoo. Stay tuned, because I might do a pop-up on a live with the Jesse Matt Butler rally. We got some people down there, and they're going to do some reporting and go live. And I have permission to stream it. And of course, the rally itself. Let's hope that the weather stays good, the internet's good, not too much buffering. But stay tuned to that for some updates. Jesse Matt Butler had numerous counts against him and was about to get 78 years, 17-year-old, mind you, at the time, and influences from judges, the school board, whoever, you know, because his dad was somebody at one time at the colleges there. There's connections going on here. How did this happen? How did Jesse Matt Butler, a nasty, nasty kid, right? A man boy, do the things he did, and then at the 11th hour, as we say, the DA and the judge, whoever came to this charge of reversing it down to youthful offender. That's what we want to know. We want to know how this happened. Let's investigate. The DA, the judge, and whoever is involved, who is paid off. They dig deep to find that charge because he's under the age of 18. But the thing is, did money talk? Sentence walk? Well, we have signed petitions. News agents are rallying around, getting the word out. The rally is on Wednesday. And I hope a lot of people show up there from all over. Because something needs to change. And it's just not this case in Oklahoma, Kansas, neighboring counties. It's happening in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is getting a bit sick of these people getting away with, you know, the R word, SA, abusing, threatening, stalking, you name it. Stand up for justice. Stand up for the victims. The rally is on Wednesday. And thank you guys for stopping by. And we want answers to why this ever happened. And you know what? We can't reverse it. I was thinking maybe they could stop the sentencing, stop it being done, get to the Supreme Court, get to whatever court you could. But they say it can't be stopped. But there is a rumor, And hopefully we'll find out. There is a rumor. There's another victim. There might be more victims, but there's one more victim. Now, if this victim is out there, we're supporting you. We will be there. Don't be scared. Just saying. We're going to back you 100% and make sure this never happens again. But if there is a victim, we're going to get justice, because Jesse Matt Butler is a predator. His sick mind is never going to change. And now we are just going to have to wait and see what happens. Because they never change. Are you getting help? You cannot help these kind of people because it's not treatable. Okay? It's not treatable. So we just wait and hopefully nothing bad happens, but normally it does, as we know. If you follow crime, it happens all the time. Who knows? But the thing is, he hasn't changed because he's doing it still. He's doing it again. What's he doing? Stalking, calling people up. Yeah, he hasn't stopped. So he hasn't learned his lesson. But they do say if he doesn't comply with the orders of the court, staying off the internet, staying off his computer, whatever, community service and everything, he's going to serve 10 years. 10 years for what? I'd like to know. He has 78 years. If he doesn't apply, he should be serving those 78 years. What's up? I don't know where the 10 years came from. But let's see. Let's see. Because he's continually doing it as I speak. Yeah. My opinion and fact. Actually, some of that is on fact that he has not stopped. So, what are they going to do? Well, let's see what the rally brings. We've got other news outlets and people that fight for justice on this case, and they've got some big clout, big followers. So, and the petition is rising. I don't know, the last time I looked, it's 50,000, but it could be a lot more. They need 100,000. And Ashley Bamfield, her channel, Drop Dead Gorgeous. If you want to see a little about Jesse Matt Butler, go over to her channel. She has some guests that are fighting for justice on it as well. And lawyers, there's lawyers, there's a few good people out there fighting for justice. And they believe, of course, like we all do, this was not justice and something terribly has gone wrong in the system. Totally gone wrong. So watch out for some live streams on that and go check out Jesse Matt Butler. Family got money? Mommy's little boy? What does mommy believe every word he says or what? He got arrested, come to the house, and his mom you know, well, it's his mother. He was crying, "Mommy, Mommy." Look how he acts when his mother's around. But he's a total animal out of sight. So, see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for stopping by.